this live on air. We're live.
Okay.
We're live. We're live. No, we don't have any fritter critters in here. We don't have any. The Baconator is missing. I don't know where he is. He's probably sleeping. But we're live on YouTube. So hi YouTube. How are you?
Hi.
Okay.
I guess I need to pull up my chat and see if there's anybody watching this thing.
How are you, YouTube?
I-
Hello. How are you?
You're looking fabulous.
Check out GunTube's Indiegogo campaign while it's
Housekeeping.
still up.
We'll get there. I've got this. That's one of my 12 tabs I've got open. So if my internet really goes crappy, it's because I've got 12 freaking tabs open. And
Well, your notifications didn't go out.
and the camera going so that I can have my little GunTube patch here going.
Yeah.
It's a nice patch.
I
You need more?
did not get a notification that you went live.
Didn't you? Well, because I got 1,000 subs now. Why bother notifying any of them that I went live?
Watch live now, Obnoxious One. There it is, finally.
There we
Way
go.
late.
Yeah, there's got notifications. Yay.
There we go. I even made it early. And you know what we're going to do tonight? We're going to go marathon tonight so we can get it up and get me over my hours. So I hope you guys are in for the long haul.
Uh-oh.
Either that or we've got to get 100 people in here watching this damn thing.
Well, I guess we're going to have to stay up a while. Huh?
I may have to load up some video games in the meantime to get through this.
So
I'm going to need more Whoppers, folks.
You just have to let me
Well,
back in.
those Whoppers are infringing on Burger King's Whopper.
No, I think these were around first.
well, they probably were. They
Oh,
probably were. Since they're old man candy.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's like
love
Great Depression candy.
I love Whoppers. Oh, hell yeah.
So
Well, come down. I'll share my box with you, Gary.
All right.
Whoa! This is not that kind of channel.
You're just jealous.
A little bit. Anyway, as we started to get into offline, but let's say you were brand new to guns. You know absolutely nothing except that you thought it might be time for you to go out and get one.
Okay.
And you walk into a store, you know absolutely nothing about them, or a very minimal. They go bang. They get bullets in them.
Really? They do?
Well, yeah. Actually,
Okay.
the bullets come out of them. They get, cartridges in them.
Oh, right.
Even somebody walking in, they're not going to know that. But, are you going to give them a bunch of grief for calling it a bullet instead of a cartridge?
No.
What kind of
you
clip
walk-
does this thing take?
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, if you're going to get into, we do it all the time to people that are
I got a
in.
45, and I'm looking for some clips for it. Anybody know where you can get them?
You just have to go out and buy another 45 that comes with 3 of those clips.
And you can sell them to me if you want.
No, because they fit my Chief Special too.
Oh,
but you
so
walk
that's
in-
what that is.
You walk in and next to nothing or actually nothing about guns. When you walk in, whether it's a dedicated gun store or it's the gun counter at True Value Hardware, which actually the one in one of the towns, where Sugar Mama used to work, the town there has a True Value or an Ace Hardware that actually has a gun counter in it. I love the freaking South.
We're getting the Boy Scouts.
Yes.
Now or what?
Are you raising your hand because you have to go potty, or?
I mean,
I just got something real quick.
my local Ace Hardware. I don't have a True Value of it.
Did you raise your hand? No.
So they
You
sell
wait
those.
your turn, son. My lands. So if you were brand new to guns, though, would you want to go into a dirty old smelly gun store, or would you want to go into the True Value where you go all the time to buy?
Or the Big R or the Farm and Fleet. Farm and
Yeah.
Fleet doesn't sell guns anymore.
Or the Atwoods, we have Atwoods here, and you go in there, Sally that works at the checkout. You go in there once a week to buy your chicken feed or your duck feed or your cow feed or your pig
Rip
feed.
Larry.
Rip
Don't
Larry.
need duck feed anymore. Rip Larry.
Or your fish food, even.
Oh,
That was
Yeah.
fish food. Did you really have to go there?
Yeah, I had to.
Rip Bob, Rip Spot, Rip Token 1, Rip
Not token.
Token one. Yeah, token one is
Rip
gone.
unnamed other fish.
Rip Mr. Davidson, Rip unnamed goldfish number 7, and Rip Strange
Unnamed goldfish number 7.
and Rip Strange grayfish that was in there but it's no longer in there. So
You got a Rick Springfield in there or something like that.
But no, you seriously are probably going to go to one of those type stores that sell other things that you are comfortable going in that store versus just a dedicated gun store, truthfully. If you're brand new to it and know nothing about it.
I could see that. I could see it going both ways. You either go to a dedicated gun store because it's a dedicated gun store, but you're not going to go into the mom and pop gun store. You're going to go into the big ones, But there again, you're going to be looking. Somebody might go into Gander. They might go into Academy or
Bass Pro,
something like that.
But I just started out 4 years ago, and I didn't know where to go because I didn't have friends who had guns.
Where'd you go?
I actually went to there's a gun. It was a gun and a bait shop outside of town, and it had a big sign that said guns. That's the only place I knew you could go to get guns.
It was Bubba's beer, bait, and ammo. Too.
Yeah, you might even not know. You might not even know about Cabela's and Bass Pro
Well,
and that if you're not doing other.
Buddy, but
Or Palmetto State Armory.
Cabela's is clear up in Kansas City, an hour and a half away from me. So.
Yeah. And if you're not doing other outdoor stuff, you may not know about it. So
you go where you've heard of it.
But say you walk into one of these, you're brand new to guns. The only thing you know is that you think you might want one, and you walk in there, and the person that's behind the gun counter or the salesman, if it's a gun store or whoever is in there, treats you like a second-class citizen or treats you like somebody who treats you as somebody who doesn't know anything. I mean, just because you know you don't know anything doesn't mean you want to be treated like you don't know anything, and that you want to be treated with well, you can find that on Google, or you can, that's not a clip, it's a magazine, or that's not a bullet, it's a cartridge. I mean, what are your chances of actually buying something at that store? And what are the odds that you may walk out of there with you just lost the complete desire to have anything to do with guns because you had a horrible experience the minute you walked in there?
That made you feel like an idiot instead of making you feel welcome. And I mean, I realize there's people out there. I have worked in retail. I have worked in auto parts. I put myself through college working at an AutoZone. I can promise you there are idiots in this world. And you want to tell them where they can go shove it, but
well, and I'd say working like a regular retail or auto parts or something is entirely different from somebody who's working at a gun store, because a lot of people that are working at gun stores want to work at gun stores, or that are working at gun counters want to work at gun counters. It's not necessarily something that you just fall into. It's not like, oh, this is the job I could get.
And even that, I mean, knowing that, especially if you walk into one of the big box construction stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, or wherever wherever you guys live at, and you're in the lawn and garden section, the person that's in the lawn and garden section yesterday was the paint person. And the day before that was the cashier. And you're going to say, hey, how many RPMs or CCs is this lawnmower? And they're going to look at you and say, I don't know. Here, read the booklet. And you're going to get pissed. So if you walk into a gun section of a gun store, regardless of whether or not they're an expert or not, you're going to want
your finger slip. Your finger
my
slip.
mouse is screwing up again. Two people called me an idiot, so I don't know what happened.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, no. Anytime someone be called an idiot, we need to hear about that.
We do.
And I just want to ask Bloke if he also got blinker fluid while he was in there. And actually, doesn't somebody have a flux capacitor on their website?
Yeah, O'Reilly's does.
O'Reilly's?
Whenever I worked there, I mean, we had people calling all the time, which it was usually O'Reilly's that called us asking for it, and we would tell them, yeah, and just make up a price. We got to where we just tell everybody, yeah, and just make up a price for a flux capacitor.
Okay, go ahead, Kingpin, if you remember where you were at.
Well, I mean, it's just that, we get ticked when the guy at Home Depot or the girl at Home Depot doesn't know anything about the department they're working in. And if you walk into a gun store, whether or not they're an expert or not, they're still in that department. Tell me something about what's going on. So it's not like it has to be just focused on the gun. Whether or not, if you walk into a gun store and the person doesn't have any clue or isn't trying to help you out, that's a big problem. If you walk into a box store, it's still a customer service problem. If you're not interested in answering a customer's question, stop working public service.
Piston return springs, muffler bearings. You got all kinds of good stuff. I knew about flux capacitors and blinker fluid, but I never knew
muffler bearings goes way back too. I've never heard piston returns.
We always, when I worked in a factory, we always used to send people to the tool crib to get a die cast magnet.
Why do I feel like that's probably my wife?
My favorite
Single
tool,
and loving it.
wood stretcher.
Oh, wood stretcher, yes, wood stretcher. Wood stretchers are good for somebody who's in construction, but yeah, when you're working in a factory where they do about a lot of die cast, you send people back to the tool crib to get a die cast magnet. And if you're the one lucky enough to be working in the tool crib, somebody comes back looking for a die cast magnet, and you get to have them sit there and wait for half an hour while you go back and look for it. And damn, I know we had one. You come up to the computer, type in there, and yeah, it should be back there in B17. Let me go back and look.
Diesel spark plugs are kind of fun too.
But that's the thing. I've never worked in a gun shop, so I've never gone through the whole process, but I would imagine if you go in, it's not something you're going to go in there at 16. Well, you're definitely not going to go in there at 16 years old and get your job at the gun shop or the gun counter. But I would imagine they've got to clear background checks and everything else, don't they? If they're going to be filling out the 4473s, I mean, it's something you've got to want to do. And if you want to do it, and it's not something you're choosing as just a job, if you want just a job, then yeah, go to Lowe's or go to Home Depot and work the paint counter, and then go out and work in the garden, garden section, and do that. But if you're in there working at something you want to do, then you should do what we're trying to do here on YouTube, which is make the Second Amendment more accessible to people. And telling somebody to go look at Google, or ripping somebody because they didn't buy the gun you recommended, they bought something cheaper. Well, you don't know their finances. Maybe that's all they could afford.
I've seen the guy at my gun shop. Like, I've been in there when women would come in and say, I need to buy a gun, this is my first gun. And rather than say, well, what kind of gun do you want? He'd basically take them and show them the different guns and say, well, here's the advantage of this one. Here's the advantage of this one. He says, really, you need to go to a range and rent each of these and try it and see what feels good for you before you make a decision on what you want to buy. He said, I'll sell you any of these guns, but that's what I recommend you do. Right. But he never treated anybody with disrespect or anything. So that's the way I want to be treated. And another thing, it's horrible if you come into a gun store and you get ignored. And I had one. I was in for 30 minutes. I didn't have anybody even so much as speak to me. I walked out.
Don't everybody talk at once while I'm trying to.
We're waiting for more, snub sucks comments.
But and that's where I took offense with the chat that happened the other night, and that they were getting all bent out of shape about people coming in not knowing what they were looking for.
And there's a difference between not knowing what you're looking for and not knowing nothing about it and being a jackass and idiot when you go in, too. I will say that.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are going to go in there and think they know everything, too. And those people, you can tell them,
I really wish I wasn't in that chat the other night.
Nobody was intentionally trying to be mean or trouble or anything.
Yeah, I know the person that said that wasn't
telling you what I felt.
No, the person that said that, I mean, he meant nothing by it. I, personally know him. I know he's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he meant anything by it by any means. And I'm not bashing on. Well,
No,
I'm not bashing on roll call at all. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not bashing on him either. I just think
you realize you guys have all worked in retail at one point or another. You realize the type of people that come in and ask you questions.
I fully realize the type of people.
You can get multiple of those people in a day, and that can wear you down.
I also fully realize that.
So I can see where he's coming from. I don't agree with what he was saying. Most of what he was saying, but at the same time, remember, you also some of these type of retail stores have certain policies where the most he can do is just give them the manufacturer's phone number and that's it.
Well, I'm not even talking about that so much, but in that aspect of things, I never said that, he should repair. I'm saying the way he said it was, you just had to call a manufacturer and just basically buy. Not, this is how it works and just explain to them how it works. Because there are people that have no clue how this works because they are used to going to Walmart and buying a vacuum cleaner. And yes, if your vacuum cleaner breaks in 6 months or 3 months or 30 days, whatever, you still got the receipt. You take it back to Walmart, they'll give you another one. They may not realize that the gun industry is not that way. And I'm not saying by any means that him advocate that store should fix it or should do something about it. No, I'm just saying you can be helpful in helping the person understand how it works was all I was saying the other night.
Right. And if and that's the thing. It's I understand it's retail. Okay. It's all retail. And I'm sure most of us in here have worked retail at one point or another, or food service, which is much worse than retail.
I worked for Walmart. Come on. I worked for Walmart. Beat that.
I worked in fast food.
I worked at Subway in high school.
Oh, okay. We need to hear more of this. How bad was it?
I didn't have it all that bad, but my wife did have somebody throw a milk carton back at her. Mm-hmm. Yes, and my wife is the polar opposite of me, so you can take that as to how much she deserved to have some jackass throw a milk carton at her.
She probably blew up at him.
But that look I saw from her one night, I have a feeling she gave him a pretty bad look because that look was pretty.
That's after 29 years with me.
Oh, she had to practice that look.
So she's learned a few things in the 3 decades that we've been together.
Oh, there. See,
me and Gary were quivering after that look. I'm pretty sure
the truth is out there. But I just want to say this: when I got into guns, I wanted to build my own AR-15 first, and not many people do that. But I went and Googled it, and I found some really good resources. I also watched a hell of a lot of videos on YouTube because at that time, there was still videos that you could watch to learn how to build your own AR-15, and that's kind of how I got into firearms. But it's just that I realized that not everybody are going to be able to find that kind of information if they don't know what they're looking for on Google. But again, web searches do work eventually.
They do, but no salesman should ever, or nobody working any kind of sales, any kind of retail should come out with go look at Google. And I'm sure he didn't actually say that to the person. No, it's roll call, so I'm not actually sure that he didn't say that to the person.
But in roll call's defense, he did show you where the door was that chat too.
Yes.
So,
But and I understand that getting home and being having a bad day and getting on there onto your show that rants and raves and ranting and raving about it is an entirely different thing than maybe what you are at the store. But it's just,
well, his show was aptly named.
I know, but if somebody stumbles upon that show, it kind of sets us in a bad light as to, this is the kind of person, this is the kind of guy that we don't want in the gun store. We don't want somebody in there who's gonna close it off to somebody new coming in. I don't know if you've ever seen the thing that goes around every once in a while, but somebody will post up on Instagram or Facebook that I will, if you're interested in guns, I will take you to the range. I will take you to the gun store. I will walk through the process with you. I forget what the thing is. I just saw it come up a little while ago. But that's what we should be striving to do is to be more inclusive and to bring people in. And yes, it's rants and raves. But I just think that show Wednesday night was not a good look for us.
No,
and I say this knowing Roll Call and having hung out with Roll Call, and I think he's a hell of a nice guy. But I don't think that show was a good look for us. And I think if he looked at it in the cold light of morning, he'd realize that too. Because I think we should try and be more inclusive. And as
you mean exclusive?
No, inclusive.
Inclusive?
Inclusive, yes.
Sure that's right?
I'm absolutely 100% positive that's right.
Okay.
Reclusive. Well, I am reclusive because I don't like leaving the house, but I think we should be more inclusive.
We know that. You live in the basement. I understand.
Preclusive.
Treeclusive?
Preclusive.
Preclusive.
Okay.
All right, so
Preclusive. All right.
Finally, I Sal Alinsky'd myself a Linky.
Hi,
how
do
you sell Alinsky yourself into something?
All you gotta do is listen to the book on tape. It's 7 hours long, and now I can Bill Clinton my way in anywhere. So
hey, let's not talk about Bill Clinton and ourselves anywhere. Okay?
I can also I've had all of Hillary's tactics. She did a report on this guy.
Oh, great! We're all getting suicided tonight.
Obama.
I'm already dead.
Community organizer. So highly recommend listening to that book. Anyway, that's how I got in here tonight. I want to thank Sal Alinsky. So here's the deal. What is this? Complaining about one show or complaining about gun shops in general?
It was the one show. Roll Call kind of went off the deep end on rants and raves on Wednesday night about people coming in to the gun counter.
So here's gun shops. Here's the real deal. Here's what nobody wants to talk about because everybody wants to stay in business. My gun shop is out of business. So 13 years working with Tucson Guns, he's out of business, right? Bob was dumb. He's out of business for a reason because he had guns, and gun shops can't live off of guns. They barely get 10% on guns. They need to live off of the other stuff in the store for 40%. So you go into a gun shop, you fart around wasting a bunch of their time looking at guns. You know how many people walk into a gun shop, fart around looking at guns, and then leave? And then the next time they interact with that person is them coming up to pick up their FFL transfer for $35 or whatever. So unless you're at a shop where they've figured that out and they've incorporated it, because I have seen shops where they have incorporated that into their business plan. And they can deal with that. They've got other stuff going on, that's not killing them. But most shops, that's killing them. So before, back in the day, people would just come in and look at a bunch of guns and then go to the big box store. They'd go to drive to the other town and go to Bass Pro, or they'd go to Walmart, or they'd go order it from their friend FFL who does it out of their garage and can get it at wholesale price and not charge a markup because they need to do FFLs. I mean, there was other stuff besides the internet back in the day. People would go to a gun shop, fiddle with it, and then go to a gun show. So there's always been that. But then once the internet happened, remember the first, everybody remembers, I don't know, when you first started buying guns online, the first FFLs that dealt with online purchases were the garage FFLs. So when the internet hit, that wailed on gun shops in the same way that it hit bookstores when Barnes and Noble and Borders, is that the two big bookstores, came in and just killed, and then Amazon came in and killed them, right? Like, the big shark came along, and then the big whale came along and ate the shark. So the internet came along and just killed gun shops. So now gun shops that are even in business are either surfing that wave, they know how to deal with that. They offer stuff that you can't get online, and they're thriving, or they're just being pounded. So I'm not trying to give excuses or nothing. I'm just trying to give some insight to, I can't even imagine trying to, the kind of customer service skill you'd have to have in this environment to still have a smile on your face. And I haven't been into very many gun shops in a while because I haven't had any ability or, need to go into gun shops, but I'm guessing that it's getting to be dire. Just guessing, isn't it? So I'm not giving excuses, but that's my excuse for everything.
I don't know. I saw a couple of real big ones open up, in the last year or two that we were up there in Illinois. Saw a couple of big ones open up in there. Now Illinois is facing other stuff because they've got they had all that stuff go through when they got their Democrat governor again. With the licensing and everything. So they're going through a bunch of stuff up there for the small mom and pop ones. And I may be probably close to the normal customer that's going into a gun store. As I know about guns, I know I'm going in there. I know what I'm looking at, or I know what I'm looking for when I go in there, and I don't need to spend a lot of time with the guy behind the counter, other than have him come over and pull that one out of the counter if I want to look at it. I walk into anything down here or even up there, and I don't even, they'll come over and ask me if I need to see something, or just let me know if you want to look at something, and I'm fine, so I'm not in there asking about questions, or asking the questions about it. But you're still going to have the people that come in, and that's where I think, and roll call is in a place that's kind of like a farm and fleet, if you know what that is, or a big R, if you know what that is. So I think they were just starting to come into Illinois when I was up there.
It's more of a hardware store and a feed supply store.
Yeah.
In a retail environment.
Mm-hmm. And it's got a gun counter, and he's working the gun counter. So
right.
They're not relying solely on gun sales and accessory sales and all that. It's just something they offer their customers, because it's got to be more of a headache to have it there than if they didn't. I mean, I would think if you're
I think a lot of times that's the case. It's definitely not a no-brainer because you make so much money that you gotta have it. It's like hunting licenses. Like those are usually like some giant corporation that's going to have them because they pretty much know that's something they can incorporate and have where the other stores can't deal with it, or you can't deal with it. Like it's such a pain in the butt. Like every time, from what I understand, dealing with hunting licenses for the state back when that was something a store would do is a real pain.
Yeah, so
I'm sure they could take that corner of the store and put something else in there,
put dog food in there,
money
and make more money.
Product.
Yeah.
Well,
so
what do you think? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What do you? Is there? I don't know if there's studies been done, or if you guys maybe G would know. But do most, I guess you would call them new gun owners or prospects, is the first place they're going to go is like a Cabela's or a Bass Pro Shop or like a big box type of store, as opposed to their corner gun shop that they might not even know is there? Or do you think most new people would go directly online? Like, where do you think most new people would go if John Q. Public wants to get a gun tomorrow? Should he start, or where do you think they start now?
I think I can. I think we're not going. We're not getting that from our parents, right? So I think it's up for grabs. That's a great question. Because all I know is we're not doing it the way most of us did it. Like I can remember being like, "Oh, it's Saturday. Damn it! I got to go to gun shops all day." Like, damn it, we're gonna be going to gun shops all day long today. And I'm gonna be looking at boring guns. I mean, I ended up liking it. You know what I mean? But that's like, oh, we're going someplace that ain't gun shops. Like that was a thing. Like I don't think that's happening anymore.
I knew absolutely nothing about guns. I never didn't have them growing up. Didn't do anything with them. I went to the only interaction with firearms I ever had growing up was going to summer camp and the little 22 bolt action that we had, for doing that. That was the only contact interaction anything I had with guns growing up. And it wasn't until I was probably in my mid 20s that I even thought about guns, and I wanted to get one before, the government said I couldn't, because that was mid 20s. That would have been right around the time of the assault weapons ban.
You know what? We need to bring back the old tradition of gun Santa, or for the non-denominational, the gun store, and then just gift people randomly with guns, and then a little tag on there sends them to their nearest gun shop.
My dad had shotguns and stuff like that, and I did too, but we ordered them mail order. I think they both came from Sears. We didn't have a gun shop. I'd never been in a gun shop until, honestly, 4 years ago. Never been in a gun shop in my life. I've been to Walmart, and saw the few guns they had, but in a real live gun shop, we didn't have one in our town, so it's kind of hard to be exposed to it when you didn't have that nearby.
See, Midnight's comment's kind of what I was going with, in my opinion. I think they'd feel more comfortable somewhere like an Academy or Cabela's or Atwood, Farm and Home Store, even a Walmart. I mean, truthfully, and Walmart's a terrible example, because I promise you the people that work in the firearm section of Walmart know zero.
Sometimes, occasionally, you will run into an old man or something like that does know a little bit. I ran into a woman one time who knew a whole bunch of stuff about guns. I was kind of flabbergasted by her knowledge, but yeah, most of the time it's good.
At first I thought it was super sexist, but then he got really sexist. But the thing is, that's only certain people, because if you were to go to like change that from guns to canoes or like gardening, like, yeah, you can go to Home Depot and buy a bunch of gardening stuff. And like you say, you could roll the dice and maybe they know something about gardening, or maybe they've done some kind of weird Home Depot seminar on gardening so that they can answer questions that people ask. 1 out of 100 people ask, or something like that, or 99 out of 100 people ask. But if you are going to really learn about gardening or canoeing or guns, aren't you going to go to a place that's like into that? Like if I want to learn about fishing, I'm not going to Walmart. I'm going to go to whatever like little cabin next to the lake is a fishing place, right? And see if like I can get a guide or something. I'm going to go to like, I was just thinking like backpacking. I'm going to maybe go to a small store that just does backpacking and ask that guy questions. I'm not going to go to Walmart just because I know I can get the best price on a backpack. I think a Walmart for like, oh, my kid needs to go to camp and I've never thought about it until just now. Like, well, I can go get a backpack at Walmart right now.
If you think you're going to go to a place like Academies and find a gun expert behind the counter, think again.
No, but a lot of people do think that, though, because they don't know any different. I mean, that's like going to an auto parts store and thinking you're going to find an auto expert.
I agree with you, exactly. It's the same kind of thing. Like some people are going to be satisfied with that, right? Like I just need to buy the gun, so make this happen, facilitate this.
Well, that's kind of what my point was originally, because especially in pre-Columbine world, where I didn't, I'm thinking I'm not going to Walmart to look for a gun because Walmart's probably got cheap guns and I don't want a piece of crap. Plus, Michael Moore made half the Walmart stop selling guns, so I don't even know if a Walmart sells guns because I've never been in one until just recently that actually had guns.
Walmart is a fluid, dynamic organization, so they will stop selling guns dramatically, like with big news, whenever they need to, and then they just start selling guns whenever they feel like it again. And then as soon as they need to, they make a big point of how they remove guns. But I've seen them come and go, and they're pretty much here in Tucson all the time. But I mean, I have seen them make big.
I mean, I'll be honest. Every time I go to Walmart with the wife grocery shopping or something, I'll meander my way over there and look at their guns. I usually turn the little thing around and look. I was looking today. I ain't going to buy one there, but I'm going to look at it because I'm not looking at, bananas and oranges.
But you also look at their knives, right? Like whatever weird machete they've got and some kind of axe.
Yeah. And I go look at their boat stuff and, that stuff. I'm not buying it there, but I'm looking at it just because,
You're killing time.
I'm killing time.
Well, see, when I was a kid, when my mom would go to the mall on the weekend, she'd let me run around the mall while she was shopping, and they had a gun store. And the people in the gun store would let me come in all the time and look around because they saw me every week. They knew I wasn't going to break nothing or touch nothing. And I thought it was cool to see all the bow and arrows and, guns and stuff like that. And then when that store closed, it was 25 years, something like that, before I ever walked into another gun shop. And the reason I picked the one that I went into the first time is because it was right next to the place that I work at. And then going back to the, original point of the conversation, I was treated so crappy there. I wasn't just going to give up on guns. I just found other places to go. But once again, I live in Maryland. It's a small state. I can drive all over the state in one day where, somebody like G-Webs takes hours to get halfway across the state. Or,
and you were into them and actually looking for them. I mean,
right.
I'm what we started this whole conversation is somebody new to them or absolutely new to them, had never had one before, and walking in and getting just a bad, getting that bad taste in their mouth right off the bat could completely drive them away from it. You never have the chance to bring them into the community and show them all the other stuff just because.
How did this? I feel like this is bias. Like, so somebody, the question came up to roll call, something like, a new gun owner walks into your shop. What do you do? That open-ended question. And roll call was like, F that SOB. I don't manhandle them, but I verbally abuse them.
Shows them the door.
Rate them as I get them out the door. Is that what he said?
No. Well,
Where'd this come from? What happened? Well,
a customer came up and was asking him about 9mm ammo. And Rocall didn't want to give, he was like, what kind of stupid question is that? I'm paraphrasing. I don't. That's not what he said to him, but he was like, that's a dumb question. But
I understand.
And my point with that specific thing, I get it. If you're in retail, you're gonna have a bad day just like anybody else. You're gonna have a day with terrible customers all day long and just be angry at the one person who really is sincere. But when it comes down to that specific thing, this guy was asking about, will this 9mm work in my gun? And Rocall kind of blew him off like, you're an idiot. Where my point was, I don't know the difference between 115 grain and 147 grain. When I first got a gun, I had no clue. Trying to figure out, it took me 2 months to figure out the difference between 223 and 556 because I bought an AR for my first gun. And I just buried my head in that trying to figure it out. So if you walk up to a shelf knowing, hey, I need 9mm, and then all of a sudden you're confronted with all these different grain weights and all these different boxes and brands, naturally you may have a question about it. And if you get blown off on that, that's going to be a real bad taste in your mouth.
All right. So there's multiple things that can happen from my experience when that scenario. So there's what you framed it. somebody like innocently trying to figure out the way of the world and is asking an innocent question like a functionality, but then, and this happens with other calibers, but mostly 9mm calibers.
I knew there would be something.
But they'll come in and be like, is this one as lethal as blah blah blah, or like I had a problem with such and such, and then this and that. Like, I'm talking about the like complete crazy intricacies or whatever the word is of like, this particular thing with this. Like, I'm using this such and such magazine and such aftermarket mag thingy, and then also I had this work done, and then can I use this grain instead of that grain? Like, at some point you're like, dude, what are you seriously asking me? Like, somehow I have some kind of calculator in my head, I can tell you if that's going to work or not. Like, how this works, you try it and you're done. If it works, it works, right? Like, if it's that kind of question. So that's my only thing. Was this like seriously somebody who was like new and like,
well, the way he worded it was
the same?
The way he worded it was very close to what David said, the way Roll Call worded it.
Okay, all right.
So
Then
that's the reason I jumped on Roll Call first about it, and I probably shouldn't have jumped on it the way I did. And I love Roll Call to death, so.
And then he got into somebody, he had asked him about a gun, and then they went out and bought a Gerson instead of,
they bought it from him.
Oh, they bought the Gerson from him. They asked him about it.
They didn't buy it from him. They bought it from one of the other clerks.
Okay.
Yeah, but they bought it from his store.
But bought it from his store instead of the one that he'd recommended to him.
You can fill in the blank with motorcycle, guitar, anything like, oh, I like such and such brand. Okay, thanks for your help. I really appreciate it. Go over there and buy the other brand.
Yeah.
Like, I want whatever that guy doesn't want.
And the guy had a problem with it, and he called in, and basically Roll Call said, well, you just have to call the manufacturer, and that was it. Is how I understood it. Was that correct?
Yeah, that's how I understood it too. Is the guy had a problem with it, and called. Then and it sounded like it was somebody who didn't know that much about guns, and they called the store where they bought it because they had a problem with it, and they got that's not our problem. Call the manufacturer.
Which he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but it could.
You can sometimes, this little old lady, you could be a sexist and go, she probably doesn't want to contact that manufacturer herself. So sure, like, just fill out this transfer. I'll take it in. We'll do the work. We'll send it off. When it comes back, we'll call you and we'll transfer it back to you, lady. So that you only got one thing to do here. Or somebody comes in and goes, what do we got to do? I don't want to do all that. You do it. And then you charge them something. You charge them $25 to do all that. Right?
And I'm sure that's against their company policy where he works to deal with that. But all I was saying, whenever I was saying something about it, was, basically, explain to him this, in a nice way, because he just basically said what he said, whether that's really what he said or not. And I was just saying, just explain to him in a nice way, help him with the process, You don't have to do anything for him. Just explain to him how it works and to understand the process.
Now, again, there's like, everybody's different, I suppose, but how do you say it nicely? Like, some people are just jerks, right? So you get some jerk that comes in and they're like, hey, can you help me with some like beginning of some long, elaborate process that, on your best scenario, like your shop's going to come out even, and maybe you'll have goodwill if I consider this to be a good deal, but more than likely it's going to come out to some resolution where I'm disappointed and I'm going to complain and take it out in your shop, even though you had nothing much to do with it except be a middleman. Like, there's that kind of situation. Is it that kind of person who's like?
I have no idea what kind of person it was, and I got it. I got into this not to bash Roll Call and get not to get Roll Call all upset or to even call him out on this. I just wanted to get this out as kind of a learning experience, a teachable moment on stuff that as Second Amendment ambassadors or advocates or activists, or all three, that stuff that any of us could do. is
Share Midnight Range's message. The one where he's calling gun websites out. Yeah, there you go.
no, it was not believable at all. Midnight,
Yeah, that's definitely not believable.
considering Midnight was right in there with us.
And
Yeah.
that just shows that Midnight's not a very good friend.
Nope,
Yeah.
throwing us right under the bus.
I think
Right.
he threw a raw steak in there next to Roll Call.
Mhm.
And yeah, and he clearly threw roll call into the bus by himself too.
Could have just been a bunch
And a
of
box of apple fritters.
Could have been a bunch of tomato. Call him the bloodbath,
But I just thought this was something that we could.
So here's the other side of that, though. Again, like gun shops and shit are on the front, or people that work on the counter at a gun shop are on the front line. Potentially got a lot of responsibility or whatever obligation, as like you just said, everything. It could be called on at any time to be any of those things, right? And then you've got jerks coming in, right? People that are adversaries, or coming in to potentially just cause trouble or whatever, and be obnoxious or be weird or whatever. Because that happens.
Yeah, it does happen that people come in and just be weird. I hope you end up with a big old red spot on your nose.
So no, but I'm saying for real, like that happens in shops, especially in a gun shop, right? I'm sure it happens in like porn shops to different, like religious people probably come in and do just things that you wouldn't expect, or like like an abortion thing. Imagine all the stuff that might happen. So like gun shops attract people that you wouldn't expect necessarily. So if you're spending the amount of time in there, all I'm saying is expect in gun shop people that work at the counters of a gun shop to be on top and be all that. That's expecting a heck of a lot. So I guess that's what I'm here to be, an advocate for, like rational expectations from somebody who's probably getting paid minimum wage at a shop that's struggling at best, that's trying to do something that they consider to be foundational, right? Like core values type of shit that they don't want to see fail, but are probably not doing well financially, and are used to being able to do all kinds of stuff for the community and be part of the community and shit, and are barely been able to keep their employees. There's nobody getting paid commissions on guns, and that's all I'm saying. It's like, let's give them as much a break as possible that they're even effing there, because dang, there's so many shops gone.
And I'm kind of conflicted because the shop that's right next to where I work at is got some nice stuff. It's a little overpriced compared to some of the other places, but the convenience would make up for the price. But there's the people in there. There's two guys that are really nice, and then there's a girl that's just absolutely horrible. And she was giving me a rough time. I was having a gun transferred there, using them for the FFL, paying way more than I should have because they charge so much, but still wanted to give them business, and it's local. I could walk there from where, my shop is at. And so on the phone, this lady's giving me a hard time. When I get to the shop, she's giving me a hard time, and I finally confronted her. I said, "I don't know what I did to you, ma'am, but for some reason you're treating me like a real jerk, and I don't understand why." And she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had a rough day, and this, that, and the third." And I was like, "It's all right. I get it." And we kind of patched it up for about 10 seconds. And then as soon as the whole kiss and make up thing was over, she started digging at me again and asking me all kinds of stupid questions, like I didn't know what I was there for, or what I was getting, or who I was getting it from. And then I confronted her again, and I was just like, "Look, you are absolutely being as unreasonable as you could possibly be, and I promise you I'll never step foot in this shop again." And that's just one of the bad situations. Every other gun shop I've been in, even when people are having a bad day, that you can usually tell, okay, maybe he had some rough customers, but the at least courtesy of, I'm another human being standing in here trying to give you some of my money, is there when they're having a bad day. But this lady, it was just, like I said, I'll never go back in there again.
Yeah, I think that's valid. We don't owe anybody. We're capitalists, right? She's got the opportunity to try to win you back, right?
Well, that's the thing. I gave her the opportunity during the first argument. And then as soon as she told me she was having a bad day, I was like, "Hey, I totally get that. Don't worry about it. We'll forget about it." And then she jumped right back at me and just started just being real nasty again.
So she's lost a customer for life.
Right, yeah.
I've been in chats like that before.
This one?
I think we've all been in chats like that. But that was just something I wanted to cover. And just kind of shine a little light on it. And I see both. I do. I honestly see both sides of it. And like I said, I don't think that 3/4 of what Roll Call said on his chat was anything that he said, in the store. I'm willing to bet like 9/10 of what he said on his chat wasn't stuff he said in the store.
It's kind of like me. When the customer hangs up, yeah, we'll gripe about the customer once the phone's hung up. But, so, yeah, and I want to make it clear if Roll Call's watching this, if he does listen in or whatever, I don't dislike Roll Call in any way, shape, or form. I mean, we're friends. We've met. We've been on many chats together. So, just because you disagree with somebody's point or comment or something like that doesn't mean that you don't like the person. That's definitely not true, and I hope he doesn't think so.
Yeah, and I think Rokal's an adult and understands we're all adults here and we can disagree about stuff and still be good friends. I've disagreed with some of my best friends down through life, and I'm still very good friends with them.
I haven't. I've cut every one of those bastards out of my life.
Well, I think Obnoxious is the biggest idiot in this world, and I'm still on this show.
Well, most of the time when you disagree with me, you're wrong, so I overlook it.
Yeah. Screw you.
I just thought that was, something that we could cover and kind of go over that. But Pickle brought up, and he emailed me this earlier. And
Sarge tagged us in it.
Sarge tagged us in what?
What you're fixing to talk about, I think.
You think?
I don't know. I don't know if... Did Pickle email it to you, too?
No. But if it's the same thing Sarge tagged us in on Instagram earlier.
Oh, I didn't see. I don't think I saw
Maybe he
that.
didn't tag you. Maybe he just tagged me.
Maybe I didn't see that. Is it the video?
Rick talked about it on Rick's Life a little bit.
It's not a video, but the Florida shooter. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
That's what
I heard about that already.
What did I strike care about?
Yeah, you're tagged in it.
Okay.
That guy got sentenced.
Now, if anybody for some reason doesn't remember this, and it was brought up, was it last night in the after chat, or did we talk about it on Sarge's chat?
We talked about it on Sarge's chat a few months ago when it happened.
Yeah, we talked about it big time on Sarge's show because it was right after it happened, and I don't know if we talked about it. I don't know when this came down, but Friday, August 23rd. So I think we talked about it maybe in the after chat on A Foul Territory last night.
I wasn't there for that.
It was brought up, and I immediately recognized the name because I made a video about this when it happened at Murder in Florida, and that's exactly what it was. And Michael Draka has been found guilty of manslaughter, and I think he probably got off light on that now. As you can see here, he's sentencing for October 30th, faces up to 30 years in prison.
Now, this is the guy that was yelling at the lady in her car because where she was parked.
Yep. Because he instigated it.
He instigated it. He decided to be parking enforcement as a concealed carry holder, and
which is not your job. With
the ability to take somebody's life. And the guy came out and he shot him. Guy came out and shoved him down, and he pulled his gun and shot the man who came out to defend his wife or girlfriend. I'm not sure. I think it was his wife who Draco was arguing with. And I said at the time, and I'll stand by this, that if I had been in the store and somebody came in and said that there was somebody accosting my wife out in the parking lot, I probably would have come out with my hand on my gun. So, and I honestly, I think that Maurice McLaughlin would have been justified to do that if he had had one on him. Because here you had a man standing over his wife while she's in the car, accosting her. You don't know what that person is doing there. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know what they've got in mind. I would definitely come out at the ready. And I think Drake got at the very minimum of what he deserves.
Right. There is something to say about the whole stand your ground law that the judge did cite in that case, and the judge literally came out and cited that stand your ground would apply if you don't incite the situation, and unfortunately, due to the footage, Drake, I guess this guy is, he's the one who incited the confrontation. So he shouldn't have had to have, pulled his gun on the guy. And that's what the judge said. He's the judge's stance. But again, that was according to, the stand your ground law in Florida. So.
Well, I think it just makes us, concealed carriers look bad. And I'm fixing to send you an email. Obnoxious. But yeah, I think it just makes us look bad as concealed carry holders whenever someone does something bad.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, as as activists, advocates, that we should hold ourselves and those like us to a higher standard. And like I said when this happened, me getting my concealed carry permit has made me a much better person, because
it has me too. I'm a lot calmer than I used to be. I've been pretty hot-headed in my life. And that's my wife. She'll say I still am, but I'm much calmer.
Are you? Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't believe that at all.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're sending me a link that all of us in here know is true.
I know, but this is from Doctors for Responsible Gun Owners, and I thought it kind of tied into the story.
Oh, Doctors for Responsible Gun Owners?
Yeah.
So they're actually, are they more in the gun control?
No, I don't think so.
Thing?
They're definitely.
Doctors for Responsible Gun Owners are an organization of physicians that do two things. They started in 96, whatever, the year or two before the CNC was spending whatever it was, $4 million on some kind of study that was basically gun control, like bias. So it was government spending on biased data that the gun control people were then using and saying, oh, this is official government data and shit. It was all like bullshit. So the doctors that brought that to light and then held the people in Congress, the representatives, feet to the flame for that misappropriation of funding. Those doctors created Doctors for Responsible Gun Owners. So they came on the scene by holding Congress responsible for what the CNC was spending money on. They basically stopped any spending on anti-gun rhetoric, which is what they've been doing. They took that much money and gave it to like cancer research just to spite the CDC. So they took that amount of money, which they knew they just had. It wasn't that much money. It was like just millions of dollars. But instead of just letting the CDC have it and saying quit it, they gave it to them and said you can only use this for cancer research. So they did something like that to mess with them. And that was called the Dickey Act. And it's been around for a while. And that's the one that Clinton and Obama both have complained about, suggesting that the gun industry, the NRA, stopped the CDC from doing gun research when really they stopped the CDC from creating propaganda. So that's what the Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership started. That's how they came into existence. And then their second claim to fame is their network of doctors who are basically doctors for gun owners who are never going to ask you your gun owning status.
Okay.
Like if you're looking for doctors who aren't going to bug you about if you own guns or not as part of your evaluation.
Okay. Well, that responsible gun ownership is what threw me, because that's been lumped in with, you know,
I've
all
heard
the
some of them
anti.
speak on different radio shows, and I've followed them from Facebook for years.
Very cool, the doctors. Yeah, they're cool. They carry, they go to training and stuff. They're cool.
Yeah. And I mean, I think they're for responsible gun ownership like we are for responsible gun ownership, not the fake responsible gun ownership of Matt.
So they're actually for responsible gun ownership. They're not for, you know, the feel good.
The problem is most of the responsibilities that get spelled out are spelled out by people who don't own guns.
Yeah. And these guys, I think, are very pro 2A, this whole organization, as far as I know.
Oh, yeah. Could it be more than, yes, definitely pro 2A.
But I just thought
I put the link out in the chat for the Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership.
I put a link to the article because I don't want to get into just reading the whole thing, but they found that concealed carry does not increase violent crime. Shocker. Every time that comes up is, you know, that it, and it came up that even in Illinois, being the last state in the union to have concealed carry, was that it was going to turn into the Wild West. Never mind that it hasn't happened in the 49 other states that, you know, well, Hawaii, take Hawaii, New York, New Jersey out of there. So the actual
constitutional carry either. So
yeah, but that's what, man, they are pushing hard right now in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we can hear.
Yeah, so there's no.
Well, we don't have. Arizona's had constitutional carry since July 30th of like 2010, I think. But we don't have a panhandle. And everybody knows how much panhandles breed.
Well, that must be our problem because, you know, but we trust if Gary wants to come to Oklahoma without a Kansas permit, if he didn't have a Kansas permit, wants to come to Oklahoma, guess what? Oklahoma will still let him carry his gun here, even though he doesn't have a permit or training.
Mm-hmm. You can open carry in North Carolina without a permit or training.
I can go to Oklahoma, sleep wherever the fuck I want, get all kinds of introductions to the police, different sorts of states of dress, and still carry it wherever the hell I want.
But that's what frustrates
me. Was that where you got woken up? Was in Oklahoma?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Okay. Me too.
He parked at the wrong shooting range.
I parked at a restaurant, and we got woken up.
Yeah.
But no, you know, Oklahoma will literally recognize constitutional carry of any other state in the union. If they have constitutional carry, you're not required to have a permit in Oklahoma. But if you live in Oklahoma, you have to have a permit. How that makes any sense? And you know, we have constitutional carry fixing to go in effect, but it's about to get the plug pulled on it real quick if we're not careful.
Yeah, because you got Bloomberg in there spending money trying to get that.
I don't know how you combat. I do not know how you combat it other than just tell everybody I know, but I don't know how to combat it other than that with just gathering signatures. What do you do to combat somebody gathering signatures?
Even if you do, if they go the same route that they did with that, what was it, 1639 in Washington? I mean, they fought that and went to court with it, and they still got it put on the ballot, even though it was.
If you're able to get the attention of Oklahoma's gun snob, then you could do some sort of a campaign.
I mean, when it gets put, if it, God willing, it doesn't get put on the ballot. Hopefully, they don't gather 50,000 signatures and get them all verified by, I think Monday. I think is their deadline. It's either Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, shit. I was going to say, if you had time, you should, get some sort of sporting systems like initiative going with Sports World. And then, have you ever been to that one really big one in Oklahoma City?
Mm-mm.
The one that's right on the highway. It's really, really long.
Nope, I've never been there. But see, they only had 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks to gather these signatures from when they got the referendum to when it has to be done by to keep it from going into effect November
A lot of
1st.
times, what they'll do is they'll set up on the side of the road going in and out of the panhandle. Everybody gets bottlenecked right there, and then they make them sign before they
There's
go
only
in.
like 3 people that go in and out of that panhandle a year, though.
Yeah, but if they each sign it 10,000 times.
True. But no, I mean, this OK2A group, that I'm part of on Facebook and stuff, they share every time when they're, when they find out where they're going to be, they're sharing it, which none of them have been anywhere close to me that I've seen.
But yeah, they're probably all in the big cities.
Well, I haven't even seen any I'm sure there are some in Tulsa, but nobody shared anything for Tulsa. All of them, it's been either around Oklahoma City or down around Muskogee. There hadn't been anywhere close to Tulsa, really, other than Muskogee is about as close as you get. Which kind of surprised me because a lot of them were, basically going out and holding up signs across from where they were doing it. And what's funny, though, is a few of them had set up at a restaurant in Oklahoma City. They had 2 of them set up out front of the restaurant, and the restaurant owner was a part of the OK2A group. And didn't approve of it and had him trespassed.
Nice.
He put it all on there, so I thought that was pretty good. Now, if we get more of that,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. They got their hooks in Washington, and then they're going to start moving inland.
well, they figured out this referendum thing's the way to go. Even if we can get the votes to keep constitutional carry in place, which is probably a pretty good possibility, but it's going to put it off for a year.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they'll count that as a win.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely when you lose the momentum. And then it depends on what happens in the next year.
Mm-hmm.
They'll spend that entire year figuring out a way to legally get rid of it.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing. They're going to try to push it how bad it's going to be so much. In that year, it's going to take all the resources of, like OK2A and stuff, all their resources is going to go into fighting that versus fighting, other things. And that frustrates me.
Now I'm going to call Gizzard on the carpet here.
We talked about this last night.
For what?
What's going on here? This is your governor.
I didn't elect that.
Now, is the governor the hideous looking one?
The one on the right there.
Is that a dude or a girl?
That is a female.
That is a woman.
It's Governor Laura Kelly, who was elected by basically the big city people in the Kansas City and Wichita area. And Lawrence and Topeka, I hate to use the word liberal, but the liberal hotbeds in the state of Kansas. When you looked at the election, there were 4 counties that went Democrat. The rest of the state was all Republican.
So that's a woman?
That's a woman.
Supposedly.
Speaking of hotbeds, why don't you take one for the team? Go down there and
turn her pro to a Gary.
turn her pro gun.
Show her your gun.
Hey, Gary's pretty close to Topeka, if I know Kansas. So.
I am 30 miles from Topeka, yes.
And here we go. Here's the magic thing. So people can go online or do private sales just to avoid that background check.
I spent all day today trying to buy a gun online without a background check, and I did not accomplish it. Just saying.
I've never figured that out. I've never figured that out. And
I know you can't.
And even going to
the dark web.
I've tried going to getting the gun show loophole in. I mean, when I bought that CZ75 here at the gun show in Winston-Salem, I'll be damned, I had to do a background check.
Well, you tried to do that big time in Tulsa with that
that Marlin, yeah.
Play hardball with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 3 loopholes to get that thing bought.
Yeah, he wanted me to go through 3 loopholes to get that, and I've tried my damnedest to go get that gun show loophole and just buy them online and not have to do that background check, and I just can't do it.
Well, the trick is you have to take them donuts with sprinkles, and then you can get it without that. That's how you get the donut. That's how you get the loophole.
That's the problem. Well, see, Matt taught me that sprinkles are bad, so I never take them with sprinkles. And actually, that I have bought a gun from a private seller at a gun show, and I'll be damned, I still had to wait 3 days, and I had to get clearance from the Illinois State Police before I could buy it. But I didn't have to fill out a 4473. So yeah. Here we go. Where do I find this mythical online store that doesn't require background checks? and nobody fights them on this. Nobody, whenever they throw this out, I never see anybody.
It's not incorrect. You can go on to an online Craigslist or the equivalent bulletin board system within a state, have some sort of a connection with something, create a transaction, and meet up with somebody in an interstate sale, and require no kind of background check if the state doesn't have universal background checks. So that part of it is correct. Now, they may act stupid or engineer their wording deliberately to convey that there are some sort of store-like transactions happening illicitly online. But I think better, instead of trying to challenge them, because I believe this is an ambush, they are creating those words. They're not accidentally picking a bunch of words after this many years. They've honed that. They know exactly what words to use so that we keep fighting them in that ambush point, that bottleneck where they have the advantage and they want to fight. Instead, I would challenge them on when they're going to suggest, what the fuck were they bitching about in there? That, what that meme say? You just closed it.
Yeah, I closed it. I closed out. Let me find it again. Sorry, I gotta find the thing again. Oh, there we go.
Well, because basically whatever the concept of it was, again, was like engineered is what I'm getting at. Like they'll say that so that we answer it. I think it was the concept of like purchasing something without a universal background check. So I'd suggest so where is this like effective prohibition on illicit drugs? Like that's something that everyone understands. We've had a war on drugs that's been futile or at least not consequential over decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so you want to suggest that guns are available online? I think they should be available online. We've had this ridiculous prohibition on interstate transfers based on this like unconstitutional idea that the federal government has jurisdiction over interstate sales. Like, number one, that's bad for the constitutionality of it. Like, that's just bad law. Like, we shouldn't be enforcing that based on the law part of it, but based on the liberty side of it. Two individuals exchanging property across state lines is inconsequential to anything. And if you think that somehow government interaction at any more or less involvement is going to have anything to do with it, then explain to me how the prohibition on guns, or excuse me, on drugs is working. And then you could, again, fill in the blank with pills or something else that's prohibited. Like,
yeah, well, how well is it done
you're
putting
going to tell me you can't have monkeys in this country because of diseases? Well, how come they keep finding monkeys? How come people keep having tigers and stuff? How do you get tigers come out?
That's
of
just Mike
butt?
Tyson. That's just Mike
I'm
Tyson.
just saying, like, there are literally things that can only exist if you bring them through the black market channels.
Mhm.
So, they're going to suggest that
do all this stuff that stops individuals who are trying to obey the law from being able to obey the law. And let's not even get into the like, then only outlaws will have guns, dumbass. Like, you would seriously think all these people are going to turn in their guns? There's no reason to get into that argument with them because they're blinded to that. They think that we're, I guess, going to turn it in. Like, oh, damn it, you got salt on our tail. You said we have to turn in our guns. I really liked having guns, but now can't have them anymore. So there you go. I guess you won. Damn it. Like, I wish maybe we'll vote them back in and we'll buy some more guns because that's all we care about. They're just a commodity like salt. But anyway, without even getting into all that, like, yeah, how does this work with drugs? Just show us how this works with drugs. And then you can start building this relationship of compromise with me on how this is going to work with guns. Because, yeah, okay, drugs or whatever, but okay, drugs or guns or whatever. So who's going to stop the violent drug dealers from having these guns? And, okay, you can't steal them from me anymore? Where do they get this cocaine? They ain't stealing that cocaine from me. They ain't stealing them suitcases of pills from me. So where's that stuff coming from? Maybe the same countries that produce AK-47s, dumbass, and hand grenades, dipshit. Like,
well, they can get all those Fast and the Furious guns back too.
And it's definitely engineered. I mean, I didn't read the article, but it says right there. It says so people can go online or do private sales to avoid a background check.
Yeah, like we're all out there looking for a way to avoid that background check. And there are some people who won't go by at a store. I mean, we know this. We know there's people out there who do everything they can to stay off the radar.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it's not because they're prohibited by any means. They just don't want their name on a piece of paper.
There's people that won't buy a new car because they don't like the depreciation, or they don't want to pay the tax, or they don't like the new car smell, right? So nobody persecutes them because it's of no consequence. They're creating a situation where this is somehow of consequence because they've handpicked that, like, here's a thing that we've poked at, here's a thing that
and yeah, getting into that whole interstate now. Sarge lives very close to the state border. And when I lived in Illinois, I lived very close to the Wisconsin border. And this whole deal about you can't go 20 minutes from your house and buy a gun because it's in another state and bring it back with you, which you couldn't in Illinois anyway. You still had to, even then you had to wait the 3 days. But you have to have it shipped into your state, even though you're not a prohibited person because of some arbitrary line on a map.
Well, yeah, I live halfway between Tulsa and Joplin. And back whenever I used to buy guns at Academy quite a bit, if I was planning on buying a pistol, I had to go to Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
And I like going to Joplin a lot better. I like the store better. I liked everything better. But, if I wanted to buy a pistol, I couldn't go to Joplin because, oh no, it's, 10 minutes from the Oklahoma border, but same background check, but, can't do that.
Well, that's what they're trying to convey, I think, here, because if you switch the word or for and, which you could, if you're skimming through the stuff or, just reading headlines, you could take it that way. She's trying to make it out like everybody is going online and buying all these guns under the table. And yeah, like, I don't know who said, maybe Gary said it earlier. Maybe there's a few people that will check a Craigslist thing and go buy a gun from somebody, but it's not even remotely close to even being worth given the percentage of the total percentage of gun owners.
I mean, I live on Arms List trying to find a deal, but that's because I'm a tightwad and like to find deals.
There's no way possibly to know how many transactions happen in real life off of FFLs, but that's another desperate reason they want universal background checks.
I know. I check the internet for illegal guns every single day, and the FBI kicks in my door every single day.
How do you have so many dogs? Because they shoot your dog every day.
Right.
Well, that's why he gets Yorkies, because they're small and you can just replace them easily.
Oh, okay.
Best dogs ever.
next to a beagle.
We had a little Yorkie, and she was tough as nails. That little 4-pound dog was tough as nails. Toughest dog.
So
I
they're
ever
bulletproof.
had.
That's why he has a
Yes.
Yorkie.
She was. She. Oh
They're
God.
pretty fast to hit. They're quick, man. They're hard to
Yeah,
hit and moving target.
the stuff that she went through. She fell down the stairs. She must have got in between one of our dogs and this is a horrible story, and I probably shouldn't share it, but this is just how tough that little dog was. I had put all the dogs back in their room, and at the time we had Sasha, which was our husky. We had Pudge, which was a Australian cattle dog, Australian shepherd mix, and then we had Thumper, who was our little Yorkie. So the other two were 45 pounds, and I think Sasha was probably around 65 pounds. And I put all three of them in the room and put their toys in there with them. And I went out someplace. I was gone for a couple hours. I came back, and the gate was down. They were out, and I went back there in the room to see what happened, and it looked like somebody had been murdered in that room. There was blood just all over the room. And I looked down, and here Thumper's looking up at me with an eyeball hanging out. And she's just looking up at me like absolutely nothing is wrong. I mean, that little dog was tough as nails, and she ended up losing the eye. So then she was our little pirate dog. But as tough as she just looked up at me like nothing was wrong with the freaking eyeball hanging out. And like I said, it's a terrible story, so I'm sorry if I triggered anybody and everything, but she lived a spoiled ass life before that and after that, and it was just one horrible incident that I don't know what the hell happened.
On a lighter note than that.
On a lighter note,
cry a little bit.
She lived. She was 16 when we lost her, so she lived a nice long full life, and that was a horrible incident in it. But she, like I said, she's tough as nails because it was like nothing had happened to her. It freaked the hell out of me. And Candy, now I just broke the fourth wall. Anyway, my wife wasn't around. She was at work, so I had to deal with it. And it was, thank God it was me that had to deal with it and not her. But on a lighter note, how's the Beagle? How's Mellow? All my dogs now are in perfect condition, and nobody's lost any eyes.
The Beagle is upset with me because I made her take a picture with a Beagle. So
you just photoshopped that in there.
That's what it looks like. It's really not.
It does.
What it looks
it
like.
does. I went back and looked at it again after you said that. And yeah, it totally looks photoshopped.
You have to zoom in on it to realize it's really just setting on her paw.
Mm-hmm. And now I had it. Oh, there we go. I had this up there. I was gonna cover this too.
Before we get to that, can I mention one more thing?
Yeah.
On the thing we were talking about before the dog incident.
Before the horrible dog story.
Yeah, the horrid dog story. Back to how we defend against their claims like that. My thing is ask. I think the gun community in general is doing a good job on our own of kind of policing our own to an extent, or because just to show the 25-year statistics on gun deaths in general are down, accidental deaths and gun crime in general, everything's down, lower than it's ever been in the last 25 years. So that shows me that, as a whole, especially accidental stuff.
Yeah, the problem is they never use statistics.
I just wish one news station, even if it was Fox, would just come out and say,
"Oh, and there's all kinds of stuff that I was sitting there watching Fox, and I'll see even the ones that I know are conservative will toss up that when the El Paso and then the Dayton shootings happened, they tossed up that 260 mass shootings this year number, even the conservative ones on there, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I
stop
just
using their numbers.
One news service would just go out and get, actually do investigative reporting like some old Walter Cronkite stuff. Actually get out there and do the investigating and just give us the news, not the spin. I think we would be winning if that was the case.
Well, yeah, but when you've got the conservative ones are tossing up that fake inflated moms demand action number of mass shootings in a year, and nobody challenges them. That's one that drives me crazy, is when they start throwing up those, and it's people that should be challenging that number.
It's the same thing with the red flag laws. You turn on, just pick Fox News because it's, the kind of the outlier. And host after host after host is like, yes, the red flag law is a good idea, but is this, instead of saying the red flag law is a horrible idea, stop it right now.
Well, and I think a lot of that is not to do with, I think they think it is a good idea, and I don't think they think it's infringing. I think they don't understand the consequences of it. Because they haven't done the investigative reporting.
When even the ACLU is against red flag laws, that means there's an issue with them.
Because, plain flat out on the surface, if you say, hey, we want to stop crazy people from having guns, everyone in the country agrees crazy people shouldn't have guns. Crazy people also shouldn't have cars or, knives or all sorts of other things.
Or be free to wander around. And
yeah. But I don't think anybody disagrees with that. And that's how they're going to get that through, is because nobody realizes the consequences of what will happen whenever you put this in place. Because we already have laws in place that will do this. They just don't enforce half of them.
Well, look at Parkland. They had what, 45 visits to his house, and nobody ever did anything. Are you telling me that red flag laws are now going to be the magic fix to that? Red flag laws are going to be the magic fix to bureaucratic incompetency?
The biggest problem with the Parkland thing is just like we talked about the other night, where they're incentivizing the bad guy and criminalizing the good guy, because there was whatever it's called, plans or like a process set up to where black and brown kids didn't get disciplined in school, and that's why that kid kept getting away with all that kind of stuff, because there was political pressure to not put him in jail and not pick on the brown kid. And that's a fact. That's an absolute fact.
Yeah. And then I had an article up here it wasn't to cover exactly what Pickle's talking about here, but you got people here, and I have no idea where Weed, California is, but it doesn't.
G-Webs does.
Well, if it's 15 miles from Arizona, I know G-Webs lives in Arizona, so yeah, he's got to know where Weed's at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You live in Arizona, you're bound to know. That's like me knowing where a certain town in Kansas is.
How are you supposed to take California serious when they've got a town named Needles and they've got a town named Weed?
And they're both close to Arizona, is what's sketchy, though, about that.
They got a town named Weed 15 miles from Arizona. That's like having fireworks. I'm in the town of fireworks, 15 miles over the state line.
We have that here. That's in Missouri.
The good thing about Needles is the dude that runs the place is pro-gun.
But here they got to drive 140 miles one way to buy ammo in California, because they can't drive 15 miles and buy it in Arizona.
I'm just throwing this out there. If I live in Weed, California, guess what business I'm going into?
Ammo business.
Ammo sales, buddy.
It's like the weed. They can't sell it, but they can gift it. Like, oh, hey, friend. Here's $20. Oh, let me buy that pen off here for $20. Oh,
I thought we were going to do this like the old casino phone card gas station slot machines.
Yeah. And here,
wait, I thought Weed, California was all the way up north. Or is there another one?
There must be another one. If it's down by Arizona, it's not up north.
I'm not a California geography expert, so I cannot answer these questions.
I don't know if it's near the follower or if it's near the base plate of the magazine in California.
I've seen that again today.
But I had this pulled up. And I mean, we've heard people, Dr. Recoil and is it 40 Cal Gal, his wife or girlfriend? They've both
Wife.
run into this. What's that, Night Strike?
She's his wife.
His wife. They both run into this where they've been turned down for buying ammo in California
Because the system isn't working. It's the system constantly fails. And maybe that was the end goal to introduce a shitty system in the first place that never hardly works, so people can never buy ammo.
And they've got this with the California Rifle and Pistol Association president, Chuck Mitchell. I'm going to say Mitchell. It might be Michael. The first month of the ammo law, 11,000 of the 65,000 ammunition purchases in the state were flagged, delayed, or denied. So that was what they have it up here. There's someplace, but that's what, 14-15%, something like that.
I don't know, but it was rough. I went and bought some ammo this morning. Whenever I took those guns back, it was rough. I mean, I had to get up my debit card and put it in the machine and type in my PIN number. That is ridiculous.
I did not have to type in my PIN number. I just had to hand in my credit card, and he swiped it on his little magic.
That is a travesty. You shouldn't have had to do that.
He swiped it on
I could have pressed the yellow button and had to sign for it, but I chose to use it as debit. So
he swiped it on his little magic dongle that he had on his iPad, and then I used my finger instead of a pen, so I didn't. No plastic was involved in the signing of my name, so I guess that probably would have been California compliant. Doing that.
I'm not sure where Clay's coming from. I'm lost.
The owner's manual for a 2019 Toyota Corolla is 608 pages.
Is he sitting there reading this tonight? Well,
yeah, that's
I don't blame him for reading something other than watching this, but you know.
Yeah, that's not bad content right there.
It's like, yes, I finally learned where the trunk release is.
Finally, I can replace that bad relay.
And according to Mitchell, the state of California says 100 prohibited persons were prevented from buying ammunition at retail in the state. So 10,900 people were flagged, delayed, or denied for no reason.
Well, you know the old saying, if it just saves one life and inconveniences thousands, it's worth it.
No, totally worth it. Totally worth it.
And I say this with as much sarcasm as I can throw in.
Really? So, I missed the sarcasm.
So for once, my wife actually is worthwhile and doing good things, and she sent me a text with some information on it back about our Oklahoma thing. So I have more information on that. I'm citing her as a source, so if it's wrong, I'm sorry. But they have till the 29th of this month to gather 59,320 signatures.
Whoever threw out that weed is near Mount Shasta is all over the because I saw that come through. Who was that?
It was local 223.
Okay, they were all over it. And yes, weed is in the north part of the state.
So Pickle is wrong about the name.
So,
Needles is right outside of Arizona.
Yeah, but Needles is probably big enough it has a gun store, isn't it?
Probably.
I thought it was big or bigger.
But
that's the last time I take any news from Pickle.
Yeah.
I should have
You
known
think
better.
somebody...
I should have known better. He's a pickle. He's a pickle. I mean, he's not up on the laws. Needles looks like it's right on the border of... Needles is right on the border. So I don't know where you're getting your information, Pickle, but don't ever do that to me again.
Make us look like idiots.
Uh-oh.
not me, because I asked. Wasn't that in the northern part of the state?
How long have you been trapped back there, Kingpin?
Maybe it'd make a minute or something like that.
Okay.
2 minutes.
I just came back from
That's pretty
screening.
good. We've been on for a while, and I only got kicked out once.
Well, now you've screwed yourself. But no, there's no apologizing for that, Pickle. It's unacceptable. Well, I have higher standards for this show than that. I expect my news that people just give me on the fly to be correct.
accurate. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my wife says it's from the Tulsa World, which actually I've been really surprised. I don't know about that article from the Tulsa World, but the Tulsa World has had a couple articles. Oh, there goes Kingpin again. Has had a couple articles about
Poor
this,
guy.
and
I warned him.
They haven't been terribly anti-constitutional carry like I thought they would be, because they're a pretty liberal newspaper. But they've actually been pretty reasonable about it. Like, actually sharing, that other states have had it for years now without issues, and actually truly information, which was shocking to me that they put that out there.
Well, G just said they've had it since 2010 in Arizona, but I don't know how he gets out of Arizona when he's got to wade through all that blood in the streets.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Kansas
how long
is
have you
the
had it?
same way.
How long have you had it, Gary?
We use a roller skate with sort of a ice skate blade so that we can skate over the blood that's in the streets.
4 years here.
Oh, that hasn't been nearly enough. I mean, it's barely even over the gutters in 4 years. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
It
you
ain't
can still
even
drive
more
through that. You
A
just
lot of the streets out here, remember back in the olden days how you'd have the wooden sidewalks and all the dirt in the middle for all that gore and stuff. So we were prepared for the gore.
okay. So
It's true.
Plus, you guys have got it's so dry out there. It probably just runs off into the the desert.
Buzzards are constantly drinking.
How do you think they got the painted desert out there?
The pools of blood are getting drunk up by the buzzards, and then most of the blood just flows through the wooden decking.
Remember, the state motto is, but it's a dry heat.
Pickle, check handgunlaw.us. I believe that's it.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, and then we have the Oklahoma City mayor coming out and just totally bragging about how he signed the petition because it's going to be dangerous for his city. And the Blanchard mayor, which is basically a suburb of Oklahoma City, came out just totally bashing the Oklahoma City mayor, saying he trusts the people of Oklahoma. And, he just went after him. I thought that's awesome. Which Blanchard's not a big town by any means, 10,000 maybe. I don't know if it's that big, but it's a suburb of Oklahoma City. But I thought it was kind of funny that he came out just at the Oklahoma City mayor hard.
That's good because that's like well, they started doing it in Illinois. Is those guys have been making it, and I know G has covered this before. When we've talked about this before, is those guys up in Illinois they're doing groundwork up there and getting cities and counties and villages to enact sanctuary laws or sanctuary status against gun laws up there. And I think they've got, last I heard, they had a decent portion of the state because everything, once you get south of I-80,
100 counties, 60 something. Last I heard, officially 60 something were sanctuary.
okay.
You also got Colorado, who had some kind of red flag law. From what I understand, a lot of the sheriffs there in some of the bigger counties, geographic bigger, larger size wise, said they're going to be sanctuary cities and not enforce the red flag laws.
Yeah, so you got some guys. I mean, and those guys up in Illinois. I mean, they've been hustling and getting this through because all of that has happened since I left.
Maryland's got at least 2, possibly 4 county sheriffs that said that they're not going to break any constitutional laws when it comes to firearms.
There you go. Ozzy says 64 sanctuary counties in Illinois. And most of them are south of I-80, right, Ozzy? Because you got Chicago, and then you got all the collar counties and everything up there. That's where all the population is in Illinois. and then you get down south of I-80, and you're getting into a different state, really, because it's all farm country and it's all country out there. So I mean, everybody south of I-80 has had guns their whole lives, and
Or
they are,
as Rick likes to call it, Chicago.
no, Chicago. Chicago is the correct pronunciation.
Well, that's you, and this is Rick. So, yeah.
No, I'm just telling you, as somebody from Illinois, that Chicago is the correct pronunciation.
Well, I never want to have to go through Illinois, I'll tell you that.
No, you don't. I
I
don't.
have. I went to the south end. It wasn't any different than any other Kansas.
And actually, they had one of the sheriffs, like right after Illinois passed the concealed carry law, who basically told his county, then go ahead and carry, because it was going to be 6 months or a year after they passed it before anybody carried, and he came right out and said it. And this was 2014, 2013 was when the law passed. Yeah, Illinois does have something other than Chicago. But unfortunately, it's like Los Angeles and New York. It's the big drain on the rest of the state that, same thing, Pickle, you're up there and you're in Northern California. So it's an entirely different animal up there in Northern California than it is down in LA and San Francisco. What else we got? What about you guys? You guys got anything?
I'm over here searching, trying to find if the mayor of something about the mayor of some of the other big cities in Oklahoma. I mean, I know Tulsa's a Republican, and he's been pretty pro-gun, but like Norman.
I pulled up another one. This is off Bearing Arms, where a journalist details hassle of buying a gun at Walmart. And you got, David Hogg it's hard to get cold pills in an AR-15. Something needs to change. Well, if you're talking, the stuff without pseudoephedrine in it, then yeah, probably. But
Well, and see, that's the thing. You could blame it on the internet, but you kind of find the opposite is true, because if you go on the internet, you got a lot better chance of being able to filter through faster nonsense. But your mainstream media, I think Snob was talking about it earlier, investigative journalism doesn't exist, because the first thing, if I'm a journalist, when David Hogg sits down and says it's easier to get a assault weapon than it is to get cold medicine, I'm going to say, give me a citation, please.
mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to say, okay, thank you for your information. And before I go to my editor with the story, I'm going to research it and find out that that's absolute nonsense.
This article looks like somebody actually did go out there and research it. So let's see.
Yeah, there's been people that have debunked it, but I'm talking about the people that are going to push it in the New York Post and on CNN and everywhere else. That kind of nonsense.
Let's see who this is. Haley Peterson. This is on the Business Insider. I tried to buy a gun at Walmart twice, and roadblocks left me empty-handed both times. And she looks younger, maybe late 20s, early 30s.
Is that the gal who forgot to bring her ID with her?
That's what I'm going through her actual article. I hit a roadblock before I even left the house. Walmart has said that about half of its 4,700 U.S. stores sell guns. I searched Walmart.com and Google on August 13th to find out which of the 10 Walmart stores near me sold guns, and I failed to come up with any definitive answer. The only guns advertised on Walmart's websites are air guns, After about 30 minutes, I gave up searching the internet and turned to the phone. I figured that employees at any of the Walmart stores near me would know which location sold guns. I was wrong. Over an hour and a half, I placed more than a dozen calls to multiple stores, waited on hold for a combined 40 minutes, and got through to a human only 3 times. 3 Walmart employees told me they didn't know which stores sold guns in my area. One person referred me to Walmart's main customer service line. I called that number and spoke with someone who said he also couldn't help me. When it comes to item availability, they don't discuss that because of various reasons. After hours of Googling and calling, I finally had a breakthrough and found a Walmart store that sold guns. Someone answered the phone at Walmart Supercenter in Chesterfield, Virginia. She transferred me to the sporting goods department, where a woman on the line confirmed that I could buy a gun there. The store was 30 minutes away. I got in my car, plugged in the address, and went. When I arrived, I looked for the sporting goods department. I found it about 100 steps from the closest entrance to the store. Walked past shelves of school supplies, the toy department, the bike shop. I spotted guns on display directly under the sign for the department. A selection of about 20 rifles and shotguns was displayed in a locked case behind the sporting goods counter. The guns ranged in price from $159 to $474. So that one doesn't have any Henrys.
Also, didn't have any of the super cheap shotguns I normally carry.
Nope.
The counter in front of the guns displayed pocket knives, blah, blah, blah. Selection of guns was limited compared with nearby gun stores, which offered dozens of different kinds of firearms, including handguns. Walmart stopped selling handguns in the 1990s and removed military-style semi-automatic rifles such as the AR-15 from stores in 2015. I already like
Which
her
sucks.
I like her because she's calling them military-style semi-automatic rifles.
I think I misunderstood. You must have made a mistake because you don't understand what you're reading there. Did she say semi-automatic guns?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No. Not. I'm talking about for civilians.
In prepared market last week, Walmart's gun sale policies that go beyond federal requirements, like they raised the age to 21 for ammunition and guns. Walmart also sells a firearm only after receiving a green light on a background check, while federal law requires only the absence of a red light after 3 business days. I told the employee behind the counter that I wanted to buy a gun. They called for a manager.
I bet she tried to buy the cheapest one.
There were no signs promoting or advertising the guns.
So you got Karen here having this like Wall Street Journal article or whatever about how she had to talk to the manager, and now you're in the same show. You're condemning Roll Call for having to deal with Karen.
Yes, but that was earlier in the show. And if you've ever paid any attention to any of my shows, I constantly flip-flop on stuff. So, I mean, I got that because I spent so much time on the closer.
Boosh.
And I'm used to all the pancakes that get flipped over. So that's why I do that. Well,
I believe he's now calling them flapjacks.
Oh, I thought that was snobs moobs. We call those flapjacks. While I waited.
No, that's wind flappers.
Oh, okay. I browsed the supply of air guns near the gun counter. I also browsed the shelves of ammunition. Walmart said recently that it accounted for 2% of all gun sales and 20% of ammunition sales in the U.S.
I mean, I don't doubt their ammunition sales.
I don't doubt the ammunition sales either.
I hate buying ammunition there because you can't even show them your ID in your wallet. You have to physically take it out of the little clear protector and hand it to them. They have to hold it in their hand.
Well, what you have to parse in that is the fact that they don't mention that there's 10 million Walmart stores in America.
Right.
So of course they're going to sell more toothbrushes than the guy down the street too.
Well, yeah.
No, that only happens, Snob, when you don't look 18. They just don't trust they got a real ID.
Yeah. I don't get that. I go to anywhere else and can buy ammo and don't even ask me for an ID. But Walmart, oh no. So I try not to buy it there.
When we went out looking for a 22 for the wife, we went into.
I'm not going to break the fourth wall this time, huh?
Again, huh? No.
Yeah, again.
We went into Gander Outdoors because I was just trying to find, someplace that had something. And we were out on a Sunday, and of course, all the gun stores and pawn shops and everything were closed. And I just wanted to get an idea of, what she liked. And when we went into Gander, and I pulled out my concealed carry permit and my license and handed it to the guy, and he's like, "Do you go into Field and Stream a lot?" I said, "No, I've never been in there, but I'm from Illinois originally." Oh, okay. But after a few minutes, a Walmart manager arrived at the gun sales counter. She said I could not buy a gun that day because no authorized firearms sellers were scheduled to work. So Walmart has authorized.
Well, they probably do have
sellers?
somebody that's trained to
Yeah.
do the 4473s and background checks.
I'm going to say, can anybody that works for an FFL, or do you have to be authorized?
Apparently, you have to be authorized.
That's what I thought. Not just anybody can do it.
So an FFL is a license, and a store can have a license, but an individual is a store, right? So FFL is going to have a human on there. So I imagine that's like maybe the store manager. I don't work in the Walmart, but it's either like a store manager or a department manager who must have some sort of clout because they're going to be the FFL, unless it's something like a business that has like multiple locations, and maybe they have one I don't know if they have to have an FFL at each location.
Yeah, they have to have an FFL for every location.
Yeah.
So the same thing. Like maybe there's like one boss who has like his name on all the FFLs, but then like you said, there's going to be names of the people who are authorized to be dealing. Because if they got to take somebody to court, they want somebody who's like going to be there, right? Like
no. Oh, and here it says later on. It says she could come back 2 days later when they had somebody scheduled. And then she learned later from a spokesman that in order to sell firearms at Walmart, employees must pass both an enhanced criminal background check and annual online training provided by Walmart, and includes a mock transaction. They also comply with state-specific requirements where applicable. Illinois, for example, requires people who sell guns to have a FOID. Before I left the store, the manager offered to remove a rifle from the case for me to inspect. I asked to look at the cheapest one. It would cost about $159. When she unlocked the case, I noticed that the rifles were strung together with the metal cord, so they're all secured in there.
she's like,
and
karate
zip tied.
A karate class would have cost $99 in order to subdue the employee.
Yep. Then you could have gotten them all. And then on Thursday, 2 days later, she drove back, confident that I would successfully purchase a firearm that day. I arrived at the sporting goods department around noon. There was no one attending the counter. After waiting for 10 minutes, I walked to another aisle and found someone to help me. Told her I wanted to buy a gun. She said she was an authorized seller and could help me. Walked back to the gun display where she picked up a phone and called someone. Can you meet me at the front to help me with a gun sale? So she's authorized, but then she needs to call somebody.
Somebody's got to walk you to the front of the store.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, basically, what it is I bought a gun from Walmart before, and when you buy a gun from Walmart, a manager has to box the gun up after you've taken a look at it and accepted that you want to buy it, and they have to walk you literally to the front door or one of the entrances of the store, one of the front entrances of the store, before they give you the box.
That can't be right though, because it's easier to buy cold medicine than it is to buy a gun.
You know, it's not. Unfortunately,
Man, when I got some Tylenol cold and flu the other day, and they walked me all the way out to my car, and then they poured it in the measuring cup and told me to take it.
And when I didn't use all of it, they took the remainder back.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, she charged me $2 for a federal background check, then left the counter and returned a few minutes later with a form titled Department of State Police Virginia Firearms Transaction Record. Told me to fill out the form. I started filling out the necessary paperwork to buy a gun.
Feel like,
Yes, obvious
oh, you never got a gun before, and you know they're $5 for this other check. Okay, now we get $7.50,
and that's cash only.
Yep, this is another cash fee of $12.
So then she goes through the details of filling out the 4473 and, giving them all your name, address, your race, your gender, your citizenship status, answering all your yes or no questions.
And I do need to point this out. It doesn't matter whether you give them your Social Security or not. The government already has it. So you might as well, if you don't have a concealed carry permit, put the damn number on the form.
I've had gun stores tell me they don't want it.
Right.
That's horrible advice.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend against that.
Yeah. The seller told me the background check would likely be completed within a few minutes after I finished the paperwork. Once the purchase was finalized, an employee would walk the gun out to my car with me.
Yeah.
I had only finished printing my name when she stopped me and asked whether the address on my license matched my home address. I had moved since I had obtained my license, and the address didn't match.
That's why she failed.
To pass the background check, I would need to bring in a government-issued document with a correct address, such as a bill from a state-owned utility or a car registration. Overall, the experience left me with the impression that buying a gun at Walmart is more complicated than I expected, and that Walmart takes gun sales and security pretty seriously. Here's what led to that impression. Walmart does not make it easy to figure out which stores sell guns. The firearms at Walmart are locked inside a case and secured to one another with zip ties attached to a metal cord. Only certain employees can handle the firearms.
Well, I'm just glad this girl didn't go to. Oh, go ahead.
Well, one of my factors would be the zip cord onto the wire also.
Well, I'm just glad they didn't go to Sports World Tulsa and walk in there, because all their shotguns and rifles that are used or demos or all that are just out in the middle. And anybody, I mean, even a kid can walk in there and pick one up and look at it.
So that's the way my gun store is.
I mean, Braden walks in there and picks them up and looks at them, with me by him somewhat close.
See, that's where,
how old is he?
14.
That's where my skepticism comes in, and I was just talking to Cal out in the chat about it. This girl did not go looking to reassure us that people are taking gun sales seriously.
Oh no, I think
she went out looking.
She fully bought into it and went out to prove David Hogg right that it was easier to get a. But I think
sounds like she's not proving David Hogg right.
No, she got caught, and at least she had the decency to continue writing the article and not just scrap it.
Yes,
right. That is very true.
I think she did. I think she actually did a very even keeled article on it. I think she did. I think she did an honest job on it. Now I think she did. I think she went into it and just. I think she went into it thinking that, oh yeah, I'm going to show how easy it is. But then she got in there and saw that it wasn't easier to buy a gun than it is to buy cold medicine. And she actually did her job as a journalist and reported the actual facts. So I'm going to give her credit for that.
Where is this posted, or what was the source?
I got it off of GunFeed. Now I close that out. You keep.
You always ask after you close the tab.
Yes, he always asks me after I close the tab.
Need to start leaving like little citations at the end.
If I have to open any more tabs, it's just going to slow down my internet and my camera's going to be even worse.
Yeah, that would be a shame.
If your camera got any worse, those hands might look real.
It wasn't the U.S. Post or the Today.
Business Insider was the actual article.
Business Insider?
Mm-hmm.
Business Insider.
What business does Business Insider have talking about guns?
It was the gun buying business. That's what it was.
Yeah, Walmart's a massive
Gun
player
buying.
in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the thing where they're trying to? They sent the letter, and it was some high up sent the letter to the CEO of Walmart trying to get him to quit selling guns and ammunition, and he basically responded with a "Screw you, we'll look at it, but it ain't happening." Letter back.
Yeah. Well, if they're responsible for 20% of the ammunition sales in the United States,
they are not giving up ammunition. They may give up guns because of the headache, but ammunition they ain't giving up.
I only think they'll get rid of guns in the areas of which are near those large cities, but not in rural areas because if they did, because there are lots of people in rural areas that shop at Walmart for guns and ammo, and if they stop doing that, they're going to get twice as much headache from the people that want to buy guns at Walmart than from the people that don't.
Right. I'm going to use the town that's 20 miles from me. That's the closest town with a Walmart. My closest Walmart. That town has a tire shop that sells guns.
They sell tires?
A tire shop, yeah. Sam's Tire. Or not Sam's. Sam's the one up north. Yeah, Sam's is that one. Young's the one up north, sorry. So Sam's Tire sells guns. And they don't have very many. They just have a few in there. He just wanted to get an FFL, and that was convenient. He owned a business. And then Atwood's, which is a feed and farm store, sells guns, and Walmart. That's the only three places in that town. The next closest town with gun stores is another 30 miles on from that town.
Well, this is also making our argument for us because Walmart's already capitulated over and over and over again to the dramatic events. They stopped selling the semi-automatic assault rifles and military.
They still sell Mini 14s. I seen one today.
Right, but I mean, Steven Crowder proved that you can put a Mini 14 on a table and people will think it's a regular bolt-action, harmless hunter's gun.
Right.
So
it's the semi-automatic mechanism behind the wood. It's deceptive gun.
Right, exactly. So right there, all they're going to ever do is take one more bite. They took a bite out of Walmart. Walmart gave up the AR-15s. Now they're back to take another bite to get all the guns. And that's what we've been saying the whole time.
I've been saying that the whole time. So here's the thing. I said already that they'll take a bite out of Walmart, and Walmart will go, oh, yeah, you got a great point. We're going to quit selling guns. Until they leave them alone, and then Walmart goes right back to selling guns. They don't even remove the counter, They just pull guns out for a while so everybody quits worrying about it. They keep selling ammo the whole time, and then they go back to selling guns if it's necessary. Like sometimes they just do it as market research or whatever. Oh, you want us to pull guns? Yeah, great. We're going to pull guns. They said, hey, we want you to pull those backyard pools. Those are dangerous. You know what Walmart's going to do? They're going to go, oh, yeah, we're going to pull those pools. Next season, you know what they're going to do? Have those pools right back.
Well, that's what I was going to say with my story. And then I got off on some other tangent. But that Walmart, a few years ago, they had a big sign and they quit selling guns. They had muzzle loaders in their gun case and they still had all the ammo. And I flat out asked, and I'm never in my life have I bought a gun at Walmart, and probably never will, unless I just ran into a hell of a market.
Strike a gun?
No, I've never night struck a gun. But I made it a point to ask the person about it. And they're like, well, they're doing it as a trial to see if it'll save them money to only certain Walmarts in the area. If there's more Walmarts within like a 50-mile radius, they're going to try to drive the traffic to all them. So I let them know that I thought that was dumb. And I was very polite about it. I said, that's a terrible idea because I'm not going to drive 50 miles. I'm going to go down the street and buy one, even if it costs me $10 more than what you wanted.
But they don't care. To them, that's just a product. So
well,
if it's the same thing with like lawnmowers. If nobody in the area was selling lawnmowers, your Walmart's going to sell lawnmowers. But if there's like a really good lawnmower place, your Walmart's going to not sell lawnmowers anymore.
Well, what's funny though is not less than a month later, our Walmart had guns back, and I asked that same person. He said we had so many complaints on us quit selling guns that they brought them back.
See, that's my point.
Well, my,
But
my
it's
point was
rare.
it's never going to be good enough.
Here's my point. If we allow ourselves to be coddled by the big box stores, little tickle like that, their little comfortable tickle where they constantly have the ammo that you want at a decent price, and it's right there next to the paper towels and cat food that you've been buying, right there, then, you know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, what do we got? We're looking at those roll calls and saying, you're a jerk. You're not nice like Walmart, who has our ammo so cheap. And oh yeah, every once in a while they don't have the guns we want, but as soon as we let Walmart's capitalism fight for our firearms rights, then we've got big fickle corporations supplying all our guns.
Well, my point wasn't about Walmart specifically. My point was about the anti-gunners that say, "Oh, we're not going to go for anything else. You just give us the AR-15, and we'll leave everything else alone." And no, of course they're not, and they're proving it right now because Walmart did give up the AR-15s, and people are still going after them for selling the FUD guns.
Yeah, and like I said, I very rarely buy any ammo at Walmart. Occasionally, I will in Bonita if we're just there and I need 22 bullets, or I'll go buy shotgun shells in the middle of the night because my son waits till the last minute to tell me he's got skeet practice after school the next day. I do buy a lot of shotgun shells there just because that happens all the time, and there's nowhere else open.
That's because he's 14.
Yeah, I know.
You should know that he's eventually going to have another skeet tournament coming up.
I know, and we usually have tons of shotgun shells, but usually during time of skeet practice, he's shooting all the time at home too, so we never have enough.
Kinky apparently wasn't here for the beginning where we said we're doing a marathon session until I get my hours.
Yeah, we'll be on till the sun comes up in the morning. So.
I've done that once. It's no fun.
Could be.
GumTube is funded.
Until GunTube is funded too. We haven't done a GunTube plug. I noticed Night Strike's been dropping it out, and I just refreshed it here a few minutes ago, and you've made a little ground since we've been on.
So what is this GunTube Indiegogo thing?
GunTube Indiegogo thing.
I wish I knew more about it. Is there anybody here who can
I
tell
hear
us?
it's an anti-gun thing, trying to
Is
take
it
our
a
gun
new
rights
type
away.
of salad bar or some sort of mail order all-you-can-eat salad bar? I don't know.
Yeah, it's totally this new 5-step program for vegans to up their protein diet.
I'm interested now.
Yeah, tell us more.
No, actually, what GunTube is GunTube is a.
I've tried mail order, salad, subscription services in the past. Never been satisfied.
Isn't it the tube that you're supposed to put your gun in when you turn it into the government?
Can I actually give the plug, or do you just
No,
want me to joke?
No, this
next
is actually the tube that you put your gun in and then bury it in the backyard.
Is it like when you go to the bank and they got that little thing you put your money in? Like, where does the gun go when you stick it?
I don't know, but
I wouldn't try doing that. I really wouldn't.
How fast does the gun go into this tube?
Does it get in the fridge?
it'll go faster
It
if it
probably
gets,
does.
If it gets this Indiegogo fully funded and has those better servers. It'll go a lot faster.
More
right?
tubes. If he gets more tubes,
Yeah.
he'll be able to handle more guns.
Because remember, the internet is not a series of trucks; it's a series of tubes.
I always thought so.
Well, Night Strike invented it, so he knows.
No. That was from Senator, was it Ted Stevens?
Come on, Al Gore.
No, that
All
went
right,
out.
Night-
Night Strike's just
Strike-
being really humble right now and not trying to take credit for his invention.
This month is arugula tube.
Oh boy!
All right, come on, Night Strike.
Give us a real plug.
Stop with all this nonsense you're spouting out and give us a real
I'm
plug.
not spouting out nonsense. I was serious about that 5-step
It's distracting.
vegan plan for
Get right
G-Labs.
to the point. It's distracting.
But seriously, yes, yeah. GunTube is a video sharing website, platform, whatever you want to call it, where
And
people can upload.
You interrupted so often too, because that's not.
People can upload and and use our live streaming services to. I mean, if you want to stream to YouTube, go for it. That's still a thing. But eventually we're going to work on it so that we can stream to GunTube as well. But in order to do that, we need better hardware. Our hardware is old as dirt. It literally should be retired, and we're running an Indiegogo campaign to upgrade the hardware, upgrade the software, do some tweaks, and hire a coder to help us fix some of the issues that we've been having, and get more servers so that we can run the live streaming portion. Because the problem is you can't do it with one server. You actually need several servers in order to get that kind of thing working and off the ground. And unfortunately, I do not have several servers available on hand to do so. And they need to be kind of newish, because right now, again, as I said, GunTube is using older hardware. And you're going to ask how old? 2007. That's when the server was made.
Well,
that's a long time ago, even for computers. Okay.
You can probably talk to Night Strike. To Midnight Night Strike. He probably knows of some good servers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Midnight Show is just a good point. Retired. GunTube needs new tires. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Oh, Calaveras has a good point. He wants to know if your servers fall asleep during chats. Because they're as old as Gizzard Gary. So.
Well, I don't know. You would have to check the GunTube chicken coop.
Speaking of Gary, do we need to call Gary?
Oh, hold on.
No, you don't need to call Gary. Gary was talking to his daughter because she was asking me a question.
Okay.
So sorry.
I don't know. Gary sounds kind of sleepy right there.
Yeah, after my 5-hour nap today. No, I don't think I'm sleeping.
5 hours.
5 hours.
Well,
I
what do
spent
you
that long
want from
trying to
him?
get all this video uploaded to my computer so I could start editing it and organize.
Yeah, so Night Strike, I gotta ask you, on Friday nights after Foul Territory, are your servers working to release videos and get them recorded and everything, or are they just kind of hanging out? Are they up? Are they up before the garbage men? Are your servers
I was out there.
men?
The garbage man wasn't even out. He was taking a nap when I was up there working.
Right now, GunTube servers are online, but again, it's old hardware. What do you?
I would get an extra large hamster wheel. Just saying. That's all I'm going to say.
Something big enough for a cow?
Well, I'm not saying. I'm just saying an extra large hamster wheel.
Okay.
And yeah,
I'll rent you a cow.
Pink is asking about the software that GunTube is running for the live streaming and the Hangout style chats, and it is an open source software that is called Jitsi, and there is a mobile application which you can use on your phone to connect to the GunTube stuff until we can get a GunTube branded one, or we can just tell people to continue using the open source app instead. But there is the ability, and I don't know how we're going to set this up, but there is the ability to call in and be a panelist on a chat via phone by just calling a phone number.
Oh yeah, I need to tell Pink something. So Pink, this morning at like 11 o'clock, I got an email from Rich finally giving me that message you had for me. So you can blame Rich that I didn't get it last night. And my wife also wants that, by the way.
So that is also a possibility. I'm still looking to see what that would entail to do, and that is in the future. Hopefully, if we get the full funding on the Indiegogo, we can make that happen. But again, if not, we have to scale back and not go as large. But I'm still confident we can do something with whatever we're going to get in the Indiegogo. I'm not being negative about it. No matter what, we're going to do something. We're going to get something done. It may not be large scale, but we're going to get something done, come hell or high water.
No negative Nancy's.
Nope.
All right. And I would like to remind everybody that, yes, Mad, I am still talking. Actually, Night Strike was talking. Now I am talking.
I have accomplished to ignore Mad Sexy all night, and he's talked to me like 20 times, and I'm doing it on purpose to see how mad he gets. So don't tell him.
Well, you just told him.
Oh crap!
Which will probably make him even madder because now he knows you've seen it and you're ignoring him. But I would like to remind everybody that hasn't seen that my 1,000 sub giveaway is tied into GunTube. So if you want to be eligible for my 1,000 sub giveaway, you have to leave a comment on my 1,000 sub giveaway video, and you have to go over and donate at least $1 to the GunTube Indiegogo campaign. Take a screenshot and email that to me at obnoxiousonelive@gmail.com. And then you'll be in the drawing for the 1,000 sub giveaway.
So I appreciate my subs and consider them each to be human beings. I don't just give them away by the thousands like this guy. So if you want to sub to a channel that treats you with respect, you can sub to one of my channels.
That's totally true. Gio treats you a lot better than I will.
Well, it's generous. I'm going to subscribe to whatever this contest is because I could use 1,000 subs.
But so that is the GunTube plug.
That is the GunTube plug.
That
so,
is
Speaking
Thank
of
you.
plugs, where'd Kinky go?
thank you, by the way, for doing that with your 1,000 subscriber giveaway.
You're welcome. I'm just trying to, like I said, it's something that's, when you get it up and going, will benefit everybody that's here as much as it's going to benefit you. And it's, we all like our Second Amendment preserves. So as long as you're digitally preserving the Second Amendment, we have to go to you to get our Second Amendment preserves, because nobody else is selling Second Amendment preserves. I mean, I can go down the street and get Second Amendment jelly, but if I want Second Amendment preserves, I got to get it from Night Strike. You've managed
there's
to
nothing
corner.
better than.
Where do I get this shirt that says we all benefit when Night Strike benefits?
You have to order it from guntube.org.
I would say get it from the Indiegogo, because you're helping out the Indiegogo.
We all prosper when Night Strike prospers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what are you doing, Snob? Oh, eating your.
I turned it on.
He's finishing off that box of Whoppers.
I like to think every time somebody suggests a car is a great gun, that's another opportunity for someone to create some sort of a cult where everyone gives all of their money to the.
Oh, that's right, because car is the Moonies, isn't it?
A car is a great gun because I've taken more deer with my car than I have any of my guns.
I thought those
There you go.
3 cars that I took back
were really great guns.
All you got to do is donate all your money to the cult, and then the cult makes a bunch of money. Eventually, they come out with some new gun, and it's the circle again.
Circle's now complete.
and then they loan it to me, and I get to play with it.
I know there's no accounting for taste.
Ozzy, I think I've got like 7 or 8 people right now that have followed the instructions and gone through with it.
1,000.
Well, you know how it is. You get. It's the same reason, you get 1,000 subs, you put out a video, and you get 150 views on it.
Who does?
Well, I was talking about like a good video where you
I got 1,600 subs, and I put out a video and get 60-some views on it. It's all Kinky's fault. I think he hides it somewhere.
Mhm.
Probably sets on
He's probably flagging them.
Probably. Bastard.
No, I am not giving away a Colt King Cobra.
Did you see that Colt is finally making 357 Magnum revolvers again?
Yeah, the Colt King Cobra.
Yeah.
I will give one away if I can hit 100,000 subs by this time next year.
Hit them with what?
Well, I don't know. obnoxious as car. I don't know. Oh wait, Gary's car is more dangerous.
That's a lot of driving.
No, Gary's car's nice. You don't yell. Don't speak bad of Gary's car.
That's
I've been in
right.
his car. It ain't that nice.
Well,
I don't-
Gary's car
You
is
sat
used
in
to,
it for 10 seconds.
and I didn't fit.
his car is used to hitting stuff though, so it just bounces up now.
I sat in his
I was
car
like
for
this.
much longer. It was a nice car.
I didn't say it was nice. It's just not nice to me because I was like this.
But she didn't have the seat scoot back, you dweeb.
Yeah.
Because I was
scooted
simply
the
setting
seat
it
back.
because it was cold, and we were waiting.
There's a little handle under the seat. You pull up on it and it goes backwards. It's one of those new features.
I'm a nice person. I don't jack with other people's cars.
He probably wouldn't have cared if you just did
He
it.
probably wouldn't have. If
long as
Psycho wouldn't have got lost going to the Hunan Grill or whatever it was we were eating at. Yeah, I remember that.
Grill. Genghis Grill, you mean?
Angus Grill, yeah, that thing.
The Hunan Grill.
Oh, something like that.
Don't make fun of Hunan. He's the greatest supporter of Second Amendment channels on Instagram.
If Cycle hadn't got lost that day, I would not have had to freeze to death outside, and Gary wouldn't have had to let me sit in his car.
Yeah, it was damn cold that day, too.
Mm-hmm.
I left my car running with the heater on, yeah. I can't stand out there like an idiot, freeze to death.
All right. So I was just kidding when I said I was going to make this a marathon thing.
In other
come
words,
on,
you're ready
man.
to go to bed.
I am ready to go to bed.
So much.
Was.
Yep. Yep. So since we never did introductions,
Who are you people?
yeah, who are you people? What do you got going on? Gizzard.
Well, I
No.
am the Gizzard Gary of Foul Territory fame. I'm sure everybody's heard of it. Watch it on Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. But tomorrow will be the early bird chat, and that's in the morning, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. Be there, and you'll have fun, probably. Check out my website, gizzardgary.com, and thanks for the invite, man. Enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming in, Gizzard.
You bet.
Night Strike. You got anything besides that little itty bitty Indiegogo thing you got going? You got anything else going on?
Well, yeah, I do hit or miss every Tuesday nights at 9 Eastern on the Night Strike 1 channel on YouTube. And I'm not sure how long we're going to continue doing it, if it's going to be the train wreck it normally is on Wednesday nights. But, I do Rants and Raves with Roll Call 219 on Wednesday nights whenever the hell he gets home from work.
All right.
So.
Everybody should tune into Rants and Raves because sometimes it's pure gold. Other times, we use it as a teaching experience, but a lot of times it's pure gold. Mm-hmm. So definitely you guys should tune in for Rants and Raves and for Hit or Miss Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock.
Exactly. Thank you.
And go check out that Indiegogo campaign.
And sometimes there's a Friday night strike, although he hasn't done that in a while.
I haven't done that in a while. I'm looking at possibly bringing it back soon, but I want to get this this gun tube situation settled first, and then I'll work towards the Friday night strike again.
Cool.
Because I want to have a clear platform to come back with.
All right. Thanks for coming in.
So,
Thanks for coming in and plugging your stuff. Using my show as your commercial. I really appreciate when people come in and do that.
Well, I'm glad you allowed it. Thank you.
Then I'll do it next. After you get to the other people.
G-Webs, thanks for coming in. You got anything you want to plug and get out there?
I don't really get a chance to talk about my kids.
Okay.
I knew it. I knew Midnight Range was his son.
And Fine Ape says Rants and Raves is a little hit or miss. All right. Thanks for coming in, G Webs. I'm glad you saw Alinsky jewelry in.
They were really having trouble in school, but then thanks to my tiny private lake, things got better. It wasn't cheap, but I bought it on credit, so there'll be links in the description. Tiny private lake, make your life better.
And you know what I just realized is that I didn't put this up on Gun Channels, so you've completely been in here the whole time and didn't chew me out for not putting it up on Gun Channels.
I don't worry about shit like that now that I got my tiny private lake. $39 a month. It was worth it.
All right, Snob, what do you got?
Hello. He's a pretty good guy. Oh, wait. I didn't realize it was my turn. I don't have any freaky fast, freaky fresh Jimmy John's. But if I did, I'd eat it. No, I really wouldn't because I'm really full. So I got all sorts of stuff coming out this next few weeks. I mean, if I get some videos edited. So yeah, go check them out. I think I'm going to drop the Tommy gun video first. And then I don't know what after that. But yeah, it's definitely coming out probably tomorrow. If I get up and get around and get it finished edited. Because I didn't release a video last week because I'm terrible. So I'll release 2 next week to make up for it.
Well, you got to get out there and do it before the garbage men are up tomorrow. So
yeah, well, I've already got it most of the way edited.
Okay.
I may finish it tonight. Upload it so I can just turn it on tomorrow.
All right. Have you given up on doing live shows? Is that what's going on with you?
No, I was really going to do one tonight, and my dad had a big barbecue with a bunch of people over, and yeah, I looked at my phone. It was like 7:50. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to make it. I actually barely got home in time for this, but I'm so full because I ate brisket and ribs and, smoked bologna, some hot links. We had some calf fries, some fried jalapenos. It was good. Truly good.
What are cat fries?
Calf fries. Cat fries would be a little small.
What is that?
Cow balls.
Yeah. What? What is it?
It's cow balls.
Cow balls, really.
It's really, really cow balls.
Bull balls. They're steers after you get through cutting them. You never had that?
Nope.
Back before you were vegan? Nope. Well, if you ever decide to become unvegan, we have fresh and hormone-free. I'll send you some.
Sometimes when you're eating a cherry, it'll have like a little set of testicles on there, and I'll eat them cherry testicles.
Oh, good Lord. You asked for it, people. 18 of you are still watching this crap, so it's your fault. All right. Kingpin, what do you got coming? Anything?
No, not really. Thanks for having me. But anybody out there that knows Willie Bullet Man or Big Al, go over to their channels and let them know you're thinking about them. They're not doing all that great right now. So go check those guys out and let them know that we're thinking about them.
Yeah, I seen Big Al was still in the hospital and said he didn't know when he was going to get out. Said he had a bone infection or something now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got lung issues and he's having surgery complications and stuff like that. It's not really looking all that great for the reputation of the medical industry. Like they didn't do him all that great. So he's having complications. So definitely think about him.
Yeah, he's a super guy.
I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with either of those. So
Big Al's my fellow Okie. I don't really know. I know who Willie Bulletman is, but I really don't know him. But Big Al, he's usually in chats here and there. He's actually been on one of my live shows before. But he's a good guy. I really like him.
All right. I'll definitely have to go check him out then and see what's going on. See if there's anything.
Big Al's pretty funny. He actually did a shout out for Insight Freedom's daughter one time, and he's basically just says he was trying to get her some subs. He goes, just unsub me. He said, I'm a terrible channel. Unsub me and go sub her. I mean, he's just that kind of guy. He's funny as crap and just super nice older guy.
All right. Well, as for myself, I've got 1,000 sub giveaway that's currently running, tied into GunTube. Go over to my 1,000 sub giveaway video and check that out. Follow the directions. And like I said, it's Night Strike's got it up there. He's got it set up so that you can donate as little as $1, or you can buy any of the packages. You've got what, a $10 package is GunTube stickers. Then you've got the $25, which is the patch, right? And then you've got $30 for a GunTube t-shirt. You got $50 for a GunTube pack, which has, what does that have in it, Night Strike? Or do I have to? Oh, I can open that up.
That's got a a GunTube coaster, a magnet, a patch, and a t-shirt,
and a sticker.
And a sticker, yeah.
And a sticker. Or you can get the GunTube Founders Pack, and you get a sticker, a patch, a t-shirt, a magnet, a coaster. You get the GunTube Founders Certificate. And I will let everybody in on a little secret. If you go over to GunTube's Patreon, there are secret links over there where you can get a discount for the Founders Pack. And did you have discounts for the GunTube Pack as well, or is it just the Founders Pack?
All
of them.
All of them. But the issue is you can't get those unless you're a patron of GunTube.
Yep. So you've only got to be $1 patron to get them over there. So if you go over and give him $1 on patron, you will get the discount on the packages over there. So you can check that out as well. But definitely go over there and support that, because that not only helps Night Strike getting all this, but it'll get him some hardware. It'll get him some coding help in there and make GunTube great again. So that'd be what, just Mig.
Well, I wouldn't say GunTube ever stopped being great. But,
Migta. GunTube great again. Migta.
I heard also that he wants to follow in Wayne LaPierre's footsteps and buy some really expensive suits and travel.
Do you blame him?
He's definitely going to have to hit the stretch goals then. So
I don't see that happen.
Also, he doesn't like the idea of having to use whatever stylist might be at a location that he travels to, so he's going to travel with his own stylist.
I mean, I will come be your private security guard for a small fee. I'll fly around the country with you in your private jet and cover you.
Right. Supposing I ever get a private jet.
Kinky's gonna get his wrench taken away if he keeps throwing in stuff like that.
I'm surprised Kinky hasn't, stepped up and thrown his hat in.
You've had quite a few people who fell asleep and then came back. Back in my day, when somebody would fall asleep, we would do stuff with shaving cream or a marker, whatever.
It's hard to do that over the internet.
There's consequences, all I'm saying.
I just usually poke Gary when he falls asleep. See, just like this.
Yeah, we just usually call him.
Yeah. Does that tickle? Does that tickle your chin?
All right, that's it. We're out of here.
Comedy relief provided by Whoppers, the candy of the old men.
Thank you, everybody, for coming in on the panel. Thank you, everybody out there who watched, is watching, will watch in the future, and share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Go check out my Patreon. This is my e-begging. Support my fight against e-begging. Since Sugar Mama is now gainfully employed again, it's back to the fight against e-begging instead of just e-begging. Go check that out, and check out the 1,000 sub giveaway. Follow the directions. Give Night Strike a donation to his Indiegogo. Send me a screenshot, and you're in the drawing.
Did you intentionally not talk about it being National Waffle Day?
Yes,
Possibly.
Because we know somebody who works at the Waffle House, and I can't stand him. By the way, check out the closer tomorrow night.
Bye, whoosh.
Whoosh.
See ya. Oh, you guys should have checked out Free Patch Friday last night, or you could get in your DeLorean, hit
Or
88.
free knife Saturday. Don't forget about that.
Today was National Knife Day. Everybody got free knives and waffles. You just had to spy.
Oh,
You just had to spy your own waffles.
well, there you go.
There you go.
Later.
Gary's
We're
headset
out.
makes his voice crack me up.
Hey,
Later.
you're not going to
What?
stick those waffles I ordered you?
Get your plugs in.
Give him the bird.
I'm plugging it in. It ain't working.
Shut
Hashtag
up,
pussy picking.
infringed.
I wish I had a calf rope.